like I said, we have had a precedent before. There's a couple of ways that we could proceed as far as I'm concerned, and these are only suggestions, that somebody makes a motion, and if it gets a 3-2, 3-1 vote, then David will be able to vote. Of course, he can be on the call. He can still put his opinion in as a citizen under the 3-minute rule. Or alternatively, and again, just a suggestion, Heather, because of the precedent that's already been set, that maybe we allow it for this meeting and then we enforce it for future meetings.
Well, the last sentence of that section of the charter does say such a circumstance, the extraordinary circumstance, is a determination that must be made in the good judgment of the council.
Go. So the town council can override.
The town council can decide that is an extraordinary circumstance.
I'd like to make a motion so we can move on. I'd like to make a motion that we will because of precedent, and this is what I talk about and have spoken about in many meetings over the years in my term. Once you set a precedent on something, it makes it very difficult to tell someone else. You can't say 3 yeses and 1 no. So what I'd like to make a motion is that Councilor David Miles will be able to participate in this meeting virtually, and that he will be able to participate in the vote if there is a vote that is needed. However, the other part of it is that going forward, that we will go according to the town charter.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed?
Nay.
Councilor Miles, you have to click on mute.
We can hear you, Councilor Miles.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Just wanted to check. You know, my position on what you did is exactly the same as the mayor. It's been done in the past, and all 4 of you have been allowed to vote by the council when some reason caused you not to be present, to include vacations and other things. I would suspect that if you think that's wrong, that it should be changed in the future, not just to pick on me because Councilman Arnold doesn't want me to vote.
Well, Councilor Miles, first off, I have never missed a meeting, so whoever the other 4 are, it's not me.
Same here.
And Councillor Arnold is the same, except for the fact that what we have done in this vote is to be able to include you to both participate and vote in this meeting.
Right.
The change is going forward that if people, unless they are, or as the charter says, that there is extraordinary circumstances, if somebody is simply away on vacation, that they will not be able to participate and vote in the future, in which case we are then abiding by the charter.
I agree with you, but that was not the practice that was done in the past. And I know of at least 2 others that are there that were allowed to vote when they were away on vacation, and other ones when they were ill. So let's just move on with I guess the vote was 3-1 to allow me to vote. Is that correct?
It is.
That's correct. That was the purpose, David, to your point of making the motion so that you would be able to participate in this vote, but going forward to follow our town charter.
Yes, I agree with you, and as long as it's applied to everybody.
Absolutely.
One of my concerns is it seems to me that we may be eliminating people that work for running for town council because they may get called away on business. They may be out on the road
This
and
is-
they're
then
not be
this is
allowed to
not-
vote.
Then this is
But
not the
those
thing
those
for them
those
to
could
do.
be
I
decided.
don't know.
Has to
It's,
be
you know, a
decided.
lot of people feel that we need younger people on the town council. Well, pretty much we're going to eliminate them.
Well, if somebody has to be called away on business, then that may be an extraordinary circumstances that the council as a whole, at least the four people that are here, could determine that. But a vacation is not an extraordinary circumstance, and I think it's easy to see the difference between the two. But anyway, moving on, because we've already done nearly 25 minutes. Is there any amendments to the agenda for this evening? If not, can I have a motion to approve the agenda as written?
Motion to approve agenda as written.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, say nay. Councillor Miles, can you just let us know what your vote was on that, please?
Were you directing that to me?
Yes, sir.
Aye.
Okay. Can you hear us okay, Councillor Miles? Because
Sometimes when you're too far away from the mic, I can't hear you.
okay, then we will try to make sure that you can. Let me open public question and comment. Any person wishing to address the mayor and town council on an item that is not on tonight's agenda is asked to come forward to the podium to give us your name and address, and you have 3 minutes per speaker with a total of 30 minutes.
Hello, my name is Bill Dixon. I live on 121 East Magnolia Avenue. I can save you time by passing out copies of what I was going to read to you and talk about, if that would like to happen. Like to have a copy?
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay,
Read quickly, sir, because you've only got 3 minutes.
I'll read that, if you think I need to. It's all about the future of Howie and making Howie not only great, spectacular, but just so you know, it is within the power of a really energetic and resourceful town council to make Howey-in-the-Hills the gem of Florida. It could be incredibly attractive and sought after place to live. Values would skyrocket. The dumpy Howie tag could be erased, but it would take some years, okay? And it should be started now. Our starting point is a handful of extremely nice homes, a few examples of nice landscaping, a myriad of decent homes that need minor upgrading, more than a myriad of bad lawns that need maintenance and some landscape help, quite a few homes and lawns that need significant help, and most of all, roads, sidewalks, power lines, frayed and broken communication wires, and infrastructure that have been completely neglected. How will we fix all that? It's simple. Just decide we're going to do it. Search for sources of revenue to include federal, state, county, township, developers, corporate investors, and businesses that want to be a part of the new spectacular house. Residents can invest in their own property upgrades, and the council can help them find money and encourage them to do it. No taxes should be levied. Private upgrading can be guided and helped by town officials as needed.
The van is ready for pickup.
Cracker Pot developments that have come here recently will also benefit
With your car.
in value by.
We're all done, folks.
Okay. What time do we close?
We close at 6.
Let's see, make a detailed list of the action to be taken by both the town and the residents. D, convene meetings of all town people to lay out the plan, purpose, and target timetable. Focus on where the potential funding will come from and what the value of the end game will be. Convince people that integrity, transparency, and will guide and guide the process with avoidance of new taxes. Be open for suggestions and really hit on them to get started on their own property. Property improvements with a strong commitment that the town will attack the rest with fervor. Perhaps we can actually get some value out of our town manager. Everything here should have already been weighing heavily on his mind. Maybe he just needs council's help to get started. The question is, do we need a petition to make something happen?
Thank you, sir.
By the way, the abandoned house on Magnolia Avenue remains abandoned and it remains overgrown. Cats living in it, rats are living in it, old cars are smashed up in the, and it's a mess.
So,
And it's a disgrace to the house, to the city.
Oh, it's nice and illuminate. Andy Everline, 1012 North Lake Shore Boulevard. I just want to say something about what just went on. And I know nothing that I say means anything, but we have plans to go on a trip the end of August. The airlines changed our tickets to a day earlier, which means that Tim may have to miss that meeting. So does that mean he won't be allowed to participate and vote?
That's correct.
Don't put everything on that agenda.
I mean, we tried to do it so he was here and the airlines changed it. And we tried, we fought with them. We couldn't do anything unless we wanted to spend another $2,000.
Sometimes it's that way. I won't be here in May, so I won't be able to vote either.
Perhaps we could schedule different meeting times for town council. So that all people could be present to vote.
There's a possibility.
Maria, good evening.
Lally, 1104 North Tangerine. This thing's higher. It won't stay. Yeah, this whole discussion, I would consider that extraordinary, that it's out of their control. But anyway, it doesn't matter what I say either. What's going on with Pine Park? Anything? I drove by last week and I saw the sign coming soon. Nothing.
Town manager, can you address that?
Do you have an answer?
I do have an answer.
Okay,
If you want
ready.
to go through.
Yep.
Okay. So that is being funded not by any current residents. That's being funded by Parks and Recreation impact fees. So there will be money to develop that park once the homes are actually built.
So there's no money in Parks and Rec right now.
There is not.
Got it. Okay, next. I told there used to be, there's only women working, I shouldn't only. There are women working in this office and there are men working over there. There's
And
no money in any of these places. There's a keypad here, there. People can just walk in here and who knows what could happen. There's no panic button, I'm told, under the table like there used to be. Why are you guys so secure and they're not? You
So
can-
did you want me to go ahead and?
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, So we actually are looking at installing panic buttons here and other places, including the library. So our new police chief is looking at that. And this is a public facing area, and the building next door is not a public facing area. So that's why that's key coded versus.
So we
being
couldn't
generally-
just walk in and say, Sean, I gotta talk to you.
But you can always call me Marie, and I'll be glad
I
to
know,
bring you
I
in
know.
and chat with you.
You answered my question. Charging stations, it was brought up years ago as a revenue thing. Is that something that could be discussed again, setting up some charging stations somewhere in town, just say off of Central? I don't think we can do it on 19 because it's a state road, right? Because in Tavares on Main Street, they have charging stations right there in downtown Tavares. But it's on Main Street,
Which is the
Alfred, I don't know which one. I don't know if that's something to pursue. I don't know if there's enough money in it to justify setting it up. But there are more and more Teslas out there and other electric cars. So as you look for revenue in ways without, affecting other people. My last thing was about this senior center. I have people asking me, why don't we have a senior center? We're talking about expanding the library again. I says, well, it's library funds and da, 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 da. But that there's no senior center for people to go to for a couple hours during the day. They do a lot of this down in South Florida. Maybe we're not as dense a population that it can be justified. Would there be a way to make the library part of it, have a senior center for a center for seniors in the library, that they have a special place to go when you do this extension? I don't know. That's just a question. That's it. Do you have an answer?
And I'll answer
Okay.
that as well. So I mean, of course, libraries are for all ages, and there's a lot of different programs there, health and fitness and everything. But it is on the CIP to do a community center. It's kind of towards the end of the 5-year plan, but there is a community center in the capital improvement plan.
Have you ever been in a senior center?
Have I?
Yeah, it's not like a library where people can go in public. That's not what a senior center is. They're set up, they're paying, people go in for a day, for a morning, and get activities and stuff that seniors can be there for the day and not be just sitting in the home looking at 4 walls. It's different. And if you need me to tell you about more, I know of one down in Pompano. I'll get some detail and tell you about it when you're ready. Okay?
Thank you.
Something's different. This just doesn't stay. Doesn't hold it for a
Perhaps the wheels are locked.
minute. Well, I don't know. Anyway.
Farmer Banks Helfrich. I live in the Clay Road District, South Lake County. Farm tip of the day, you can take a clipping from a mulberry tree and you can put it straight into the ground, and in 2 years you will have mulberries growing from that tree. Also, here is a super cool hack for harvesting mulberries. You can put a blanket underneath it. You can shake the tree gently. The mulberries will fall. You can scoop them up like like you're eating them with your hands, like a child. However, your hands and your mouth will end up turning purple. Mayor, council, distinguished guests, do we point our finger at our president and blame him for the direction of our country? Do we look at our governor and our legislators and blame them for the high cost of living here in Florida? Do we turn to our county commissioners and say they are the reason why we have potholes on our county roads? Do we turn to our mayor and point to him or her because of the high cost of water that the water bills are? We do. We are a blaming society. We constantly point our finger and blame because it's so easy. It's a great default. My mother always told me, once you point your finger at someone, you're always pointing 3 more right back at yourself. 250 years ago, basically in a couple of months, our forefathers were doing just that. They were pointing their finger across the Atlantic Ocean at England and blaming England until they decided to take responsibility. You see, we cannot throw blame and take responsibility at the same time. We can only do one. They decided, our forefathers decided to take responsibility, and in doing so, they created a nation, our nation, which will be 250 years. So we are at a crossroads here in our country, and we have two choices. One, we can take responsibility and take ownership of this great nation of ours. Or we can point our finger and be blamers of nothing. I am Farmer Banks Helfrich, advocate for South Lake County, candidate for State House District 25. May you all be blessed. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Thank you, Banks.
Joshua Hughesman, 671 Avila Place. I just wanted to thank everybody that was able to come out to the Lakeshore cleanup Saturday. Combination of Parks and Rec and Public Services put that together. We had the mayor, Councilor Arnold. We had numerous residents. We had kids from Lake Mineola High School coming out from the National Honor Society, Agri-Science. So we had a total of 28 people, which blew away what we've done the past couple of years, which just kind of proves that getting it out there early. I believe we set it up in February, might have been March. So we put it out there early. We got a lot of people. We had a lot of boats out there. People were on the lake going over, down past boondocks and all that. A total of just under 140 pounds of trash was collected along the lakeshore Saturday. So I just wanted to make sure that everybody that showed up, I appreciate it, and keep an eye out. The plan is to try and do this annually, and make sure that we're actually putting out the information early, getting it on social media, getting it on the sign and all that. Thank you.
And I'd like to add special thanks to the folks of Howey who turned out to help us pick up the trash. And a couple of them were very energetic and helped us clean up the lake. So thank you very much for those who helped.
Tom Ballou, 1005 North Tangerine Avenue. That was awesome what happened over the weekend. I didn't know about it. I've been to it years in the past and collected a lot of garbage. The lakefront looks great. The new sidewalk on Central is awesome. It opens it up for people to be a little safer walking to the library, to the post office from my neighborhood. I want to also thank DPW for filling a ton of potholes. And we don't really have major potholes here, but looking around town and walking down the streets and that, it's a lot easier not to trip. Thank you very much.
Good evening, Council. Tina St. Clair, 143 East Central Avenue, Howey-in-the-Hills. Just checking to see if there's any updates on the Howey Mansion with the amendment that was going to be made.
So that our town planner is reaching out to Mr. Coward. We said that staff was going to talk directly to the owner of the property. And I believe we will have something to bring forward at the first meeting in May. I'm looking at the town attorney, possibly. First meeting in May, second meeting in May, but I know there's going to be some conversations between the town planner and the owner of the property.
Okay. And then my second thing is the sidewalk looks fantastic going down East Central to Lakeshore. And it's nice that it's got the handicap ramp on both sides so that it can be easily accessed. However, the sod that they put down, a lot of it looks very dead and it does not seem to be getting watered. So I spoke with Mr. Cates and he said they're supposed to be watering it, but I saw Friday when they put it down, which was late in the afternoon, there was no watering. And I went out there this afternoon and it does not look like it's been watered at all. And it's a lot of it is very dry and not looking good.
Okay, well, we will take that under advisement and look into that. Thank you for bringing that to our attention.
Okay, appreciate it. But the sidewalk itself looks fantastic.
Thank you, Tina.
How doesn't that get watered apart from rain? There's no
Bring a
sprinklers.
truck, there's not.
So you just got to get a truck and just drown it a couple of times a week or something because it's getting real hot out there at the moment. It'd be a shame if it was lost. Okay, if there's no other public comment, I'll close public comment. We'll move on to the consent agenda. We have 3 items on the consent agenda. The approval of minutes and ratification of and confirmation of all town council actions at the April 13th meeting, the March 23rd meeting, and also the March 9th meeting, which I think is one of those is a revision, correct, John?
Yes.
Okay. I have a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Motion to approve the consent agenda with the one revision. Is that revision for March 9th?
I'm not sure.
Yes.
Yes, it is.
We were-
Well, there were 2 revisions that were actually done to the one set of meetings, which I put forward, and those have been updated, and those are the ones that are in the packet now.
Okay, just to make, for my clarification, the March 9th meeting, I noted that at the top, it had the Pledge of Allegiance and then the invocation. Is that what we did? I thought it was the other way around.
The March 9th one may be the last one
The
we did
last
before
one
we
that we
changed it
did,
over.
okay, all right.
Possibly, I don't know.
Okay,
But as long as the current ones are good, then I think we're okay.
make a motion to approve consent agenda.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That's unanimous. We have no public hearing or old business. We have new business item 4. Where is that? Councillor Miles, if you can hear me, just to let you know that we can also hear you. So your conversations with the people that you have around you are sorry?
He's been muted. He just needs to raise his hand when he wants to speak next, just because of the background.
I understand that. That's what I'm explaining to him. So we can hear you, even though you may not think we can. So we are having to mute you. So when you wish to speak, you will raise your hand, please, on your computer, and then John will unmute you. Thank you. So item 4 is consideration and approval of Hillside Groves amenity minor amendments.
Thank you, Mayor and councilors. This item that's before you follows your approval of final site plans for the phases of this project. So they have recently submitted for building permit applications, and the amenities that are shown on those building permit applications are different than what you approved in the final site plans. So they're back before you this evening to request those changes be approved. The Land Development Code does not have an administrative provision for any type of change to the final site plan. So that's why it's required to come back before you. Just to give you an overview, I detailed in the staff report the 3 items that they're requesting to be changed. I'll just give a highlight of that here for everyone's benefit, and then I'll be glad to answer any specific questions that you may have. The first change is regarding the type of trellis that's provided in 2 sections of the development. One is in phase 1B and the other applies to a future in phase 2 through 4 that was shown. So the trellis structure that was approved was a galvanized steel structure. It was a slightly larger, that's what is being proposed in the building permit. And the new that's being proposed in the building permit is also a wooden structure. And so details of that have been provided to you with the applicant's materials. The second item that's being requested to change are the styles and number of playground equipment. And I called out the specific sheets you could review for this. One of them is with respect to phase 1B, and they are proposing a different play structure, apparently because they could not purchase the one that had been shown on the final site plan. And they are proposing 1 structure now instead of 2. And that may have been an oversight on their part, but for building permitting, they've only submitted to have 1 structure where in the final site plan, 2 were shown for that location in phase 1B. The third item is also regarding playground equipment that was shown in the original phase 1 final site plan. And that is for the 5 to 12-year-old play structure. So it's completely different with that one as well. I know that the applicant would like to answer any questions that you may have for them as well. They've provided several backup documents for your review. Staff is not making any type of recommendation on this because there are no specific criteria in the Land Development Code for staff to make an objective recommendation on. So it is completely within the purview of town council and at your discretion to approve or not approve this item. I'll be glad to answer any questions you may have, and then the applicant can also address you. Thank you.
Presumably, we can approve or not approve. We can approve or not approve the 3 individual items. They're not.
Yes, sir.
They're
That's
not
correct.
linked. Just question on the going from 2 to 1. What was the 1 and what were the 2 and what is now the 1? Is it a much bigger structure? Come up, gentlemen. Is it a much bigger structure? And what was the purpose for moving it from, like swings and a seesaw to a roundabout, whatever?
If I may address, my name's Greg Witherspoon. I am the landscape architect and community planner with Kinley Horn. We also have the developer here. I will full-heartedly say that was a oversight on our part. There was another age group. I can confidently commit to you guys that we will have 2 pieces of play equipment in the area that we should have had 2 pieces of play equipment per the original approval.
A question for you, because I think there needs to be 2, because you have different age kids.
Yes.
So, what are you proposing those 2 be?
I don't have the specific piece of equipment picked out yet. We're going to get with our park consultant and make sure that we've got the age groups and the level of play appropriate, split between the 2 pieces of equipment.
Okay, and the only reason I asked that is the original plans called for equipment from a company called Compan.
That's correct.
And the new equipment is specified as from a company called Playmart.
Correct.
Okay, I looked both of those companies up.
Yes.
And whenever you put in top-rated playground equipment, Compan shows up on every list I looked at. Very excellent company. Just out of curiosity, why would you want to move away from them?
There's business relationships in place. That relationship was in a previous development scenario, and Meritage has relationships with a different play manufacturer and playground equipment contractor. So Compan doesn't always allow a developer to use their own contractor. And so that was a business decision to go with a contractor and a business plan that's already in place with Meritage.
Just in your opinion, how would you compare the equipment from the 2 companies?
I haven't done a professional opinion. I've used both companies before. I think scale is something that's very important when you're talking about the level of play, and I think the level of play is equivalent. I think if this was a municipal park, we may discuss a different type of manufacturer. Compan is an international company that has been providing equipment mostly for public sector clients, and the manufacturer they're using here is designed for private sector development.
Now, when you say that, I mean, Compan is known as a commercial playground equipment. So when you say public versus private, do you mean residential versus commercial, or what do you mean there?
No, I mean more for public parks. Well known in the public park sector, and that's how they actually got their start in America after starting in Europe. So we're using a different manufacturer, but that shouldn't mean that we're getting a less level of quality at all.
Okay, and I guess the only reason I even bring this up is I didn't see Playmart listed on any top-rated lists. So
So again, it's a business relationship with Meritage. And so Meritage is a national company. They work with other manufacturers, and this is the one that we use in our region. I have used Meritage, or pardon me, I have used Playmart in multiple other communities throughout the region.
Any other questions from council? Councillor Miles, do you have a question?
Did you hear
Councillor
me?
Miles?
I said no.
Okay, sorry, no,
I
we did.
I
we did
can't
not.
tell whether or not, to your earlier point, sometimes it says I'm muted and you can hear me, and it did that time say I was muted, and he opened it up for me. I would prefer he leave it open all the time. Thank you.
We can leave it open, David, but you have to be quiet at the other end. Having conversations with other people is coming across the discussion. That's the
We
reason
won't
why.
have any more. It happened one time.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
One other question. So if we approve this Playmart, then the one would be the Pikes Peak.
Yes.
And the other one would be the one with the little house.
Yes.
Okay, how many kids can play on those at the same time?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't think I have not looked at the usage for the amount of kids on the same time. I can look that up for you. I relied upon our parks consultant to do that work.
And total throughout the development, how many pieces of these equipment would be in the whole development?
So we've got a large piece of equipment, a couple of different things in the amenity center, a very large piece of equipment and a swing set, which has already been approved. Then phase 1A, we have the alternate from the Playmart that we're talking about.
Okay.
Phase 1B, we've got 2 more pieces of equipment. And then I believe it's in phase 2 that we've got another tot lot. And then additionally in phase 2, we've got a dog park as well.
And those are the only phases that would have these things?
That's correct.
Okay. I guess what I'm trying to figure is we're talking about 3, other than the amenity center, 3 pieces of equipment. 5 actually, but at 3 different sites. I'm just trying to figure out,
Yes.
with the development of 700 homes, there's going to be a heck of a lot of children, especially if this is being geared, and I'm assuming it is, to families, the development.
Families, young professionals, all the above. Yes, I would say it's not targeted for retirees, but that doesn't mean there won't be retirees living there either.
I'm just trying to, grasp myself. I mean, I know Renee is mentioned in Venetian, and that's what, 173 or a little more than that?
Venezia have 72 homes. One of the things that I'm in 172, but in Venezia, you have a lot of the parents, they have built out play centers in their backyard and pools. So I would think the same thing for Meritage. Even though you may have a development with over 700 homes, I know that your mindset, or maybe some of the things you're thinking about children in playgrounds, and to ask how many children are going to be on the tot lot or whatever have you. I mean, Playmart, I know you said you couldn't find them anywhere, but I'm fact checking it here on my computer. Playmart is a company where all parts and products are made in the USA.
No, I
They have a
found-
they have a 5-star rating, and they build out on military bases. So, and it seems as though it's more colorful and more intuitive if we want to talk about children having more of an interactive time on a playset as opposed to what do you call it? The climbing monkey bars and the
And the
other and
bookstores
other.
from which we changed it.
Correct. So when I'm looking at Playmart, I'm seeing a lot of these in the back, similarly in the backyards in Venezia, in their yard along with pools, and I'm sure that
say
would be
that
the same.
Venezia, you have to, when you look at Venezia, and I've mentioned this to you before, you're talking about a much, much larger lot size than you're talking about in this development. This development doesn't have room for pools and playgrounds. These kids are going to need something to do. And I think in that development that if you have 43 children, I think you mentioned once with that
That was
many.
the last count. We have about 5 more boys.
Okay, so 48, you multiply that by 4, you know, you're talking over 200 kids. They're gonna need stuff to do. That's all I'm saying.
So if Playmart had been their original choice, would we be having this discussion? And did I hear you correctly to saying that where we were told there was going to be one instead of two, that you're now saying there's still going to be two?
Yes.
So realistically, then the only change is going from one manufacturer to the other.
That's correct.
So all of the other things that have come part of the discussion really are moot because of the fact they've already been approved for the number of structures that are going to be in there. So if it's a matter of, and I don't think any of us are experts.
Bless you.
I don't think any of us who are experts on this particular play area. I took my twins down to Montverde and they played on exactly what was in the park. I have no idea who manufactured it. All I know is that they enjoyed it and all the kids that were there enjoyed it as well. So do we want to bring this to a motion, or before we do that?
I have some other questions.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, the playground equipment was just one part of it.
Okay.
The other part of it is, I think our town planner said trellises. They're actually pergolas.
Yeah.
And you guys want to go from galvanized steel to cedar. Is that correct?
Yes, and we're going to stain the cedar as well.
Okay. In your opinion, what do you feel is more durable, and what do you feel requires more maintenance?
So, I mean, long-term maintenance, the anodized metal would obviously be better. The design that we had in there is not as good as the design for the wood trellis that we're going to be putting in there for two reasons. First one is the look and feel of the very sleek metal trellis doesn't fit with the look and feel for the community that we're trying to go with. So that's one, the design aesthetic we wanted to change. The second one is that they don't provide as much shade. And so if you look at that metal trellis that we were able to find in a manufacturer's book, it was a quick decision that probably wasn't as well thought out. I am in full support of going to the wood trellis, in this case, the wood pergola, pardon me, you are correct, because it provides more shade and it looks better in the environment that we're putting it in.
Even though it's not going to last as long, it's going to need regular maintenance.
Yes. Even
whereas the galvanized steel would not.
It's not galvanized, it's anodized.
Okay.
It would have been an anodized aluminum, and they still require maintenance.
Well, okay, I thought I read galvanized steel.
I've read too.
I didn't read, because aluminum's a whole nother ballgame.
Yeah, so
So I read galvanized steel.
Yeah.
we jumped ahead then. My apologies, because that was the other submittal that we had put together, that then we switched that out again. So we're on the third pergola, so I apologize, but yes.
Is
the
it
original was
not true
galvanized.
that galvanized steel is quite a bit more expensive than cedar?
Oh yeah, metal is more expensive than wood, period.
I mean, to me, it seems like we're going to be putting a strain on the HOA down the road, as opposed to putting something in there that's going to last a while.
The roads, the HOA is going to have a maintenance budget for sure. And we're supporting this particular choice, not because of cost, but because it is a better pergola.
You believe it's a better pergola?
Well, I do. And the other one, to be honest with you, isn't manufactured locally and we couldn't get it locally and all those kind of things. So yeah, I believe it's a better pergola.
Well, I've got a lot of research here that states galvanized steel hands down is
Yeah.
a better material and creates a better product.
It will.
It's more,
It is more expensive. Yeah, absolutely. And in this case, it doesn't provide as much shade either.
Stainless steel would be even better.
Stainless steel would be
yeah,
better.
absolutely.
Stainless steel would be beautiful.
But it's not pretty. Doesn't look good.
Well, I think galvanized steel, if it's painted to match the environment.
But yes, I
it'll
agree.
look fine.
I like your point where you're talking about for the HOA, since
Mhm.
having been on the board
I
of
think
one
we're
and
just
stuff,
putting-
and I really don't want to think about tasking an HOA to do any more than they're already going to struggle to do right now. So I think something that lasts longer will be better off for them.
What was the reason for your changeover from the steel to the wood pergola?
Two reasons. The first one is aesthetic. The design of this pergola, if you look at it, it actually has 3 layers in terms of the overall top of it, which is better, provides more shade, and it has some better architectural details on the side. So it has the brackets that provide a totally different character than a very sleek, ultra-modern metal.
Kind of a minimalist kind of a look is
It
what
was
the
very
steel, with the steel meaning it gives a minimalist look, whereas the wood pergola have more width and a more for aesthetic.
It does. And we are going to stain it. And yes, there does need to be a regular program in there to stain it for sure. But
The stain's gonna match the concrete. There's underneath the actual pergola's stained concrete underneath. And to be honest with you, I'm sorry, I said, the stained pergola is underneath it is stamped concrete that's colored as well, that's stained concrete. As far as when I looked at it, I'm 100% confident that the pergola that was chosen is 100% nicer and more appealing to the community. That's my opinion, though. I live in a house, and when I walk with my wife, she's over here with me right now, and we go there and we sit down, we have our cup of coffee, and it's beautiful. And I see lots of times that people in the community go there to take pictures, whether they have a wedding or they have something going on, whether it's homecoming. So it's kind of one of those things where people might want to go take pictures in the future. I really don't see people going to take pictures in front of something that's just steel, and it's like what you said. It's not as appealing. So when people go to the community, you want to see something nice. You pull into a community, you want to see something nice, and I truly believe I said that's why when I sent the email, I put exhibits in there. But
I saw the exhibits.
yeah,
Is it going to be-
slightly disagree
Is it
with
going
you.
to be pressure? Is it going to be pressure treated wood, or it will? Or can we think about what's the name of that? No, what's the wood that I like? The manufactured one.
it will be steel.
The one we did
You're
the.
talking about Trex, cedar.
I know, yeah.
I mean, if you're gonna go with
Yeah,
wood,
but-
cedar's the way.
But what about Trex?
I don't. No,
no,
they don't have
I wouldn't recommend using plastic in a,
Yeah,
for
those
situations
things,
like
and
that.
also with heat, those things flex sometimes. I had it before when I used to live in Illinois in the hot, and get plastic, it'll flex. This wood will probably last, I don't know, I'm not a wood expert, but 50 years, and 50 years if we're.
Just don't want
Still
to
having
see
this conversation.
the HOA, because we know what it is when it comes to having to have a maintenance budget and having to maintain items annually or even biannually. So, because they would have to have a maintenance budget for painting it, right? Treating.
It's gonna be stained and sealed. We are also sealing it.
Oh, you're sealed?
Yes, man.
Yeah,
Yes,
but
man.
it's not gonna last.
So there'll be.
10 years. If that.
I'd be
I'd
amazed if you could get 10 years out of it.
Metal pergolas, particularly those made from steel, are turning heads. Their popularity is on the rise due to their proven performance and sought-after aesthetic. So they must not be too bad.
Well, I mean, that's
Somebody's opinion.
Can I just get your name for the record, sir?
Yes, sir. I'm Claudio Torres. I'm the land development manager for the actual community for Meritage Homes.
Okay. Tim, do you have any other questions? 'Cause we got a lot to cover this evening.
Nope. I do have one.
Okay.
So, so Claudio, I cannot recall when we talked about putting up the playground structures.
Yes,
Were
sir.
we also gonna were you also gonna be putting like a tarp over it, like our swing set out here, where it's in the shade so the kids can use it in the summertime?
If you look at the one that's currently at the amenity now,
Yeah.
if I don't know if you've driven through community, I actually just drove. If you drive through the amenity track right now that was approved, we do have a sunshade on that one as well.
Okay, good. I just couldn't recall whether we were doing that in this.
Yeah, it depends on the on the structures and the situations and the area you have, because obviously when you have a sunshade, it requires footers and it requires more space. So that's also
Yeah,
space
this
dependent as well.
weekend helped remind me that we are in Florida and it is starting to get warmer.
Yes, the
and-
one at the amenity does have it.
Good.
Yes, it does.
Good.
Yes, sir.
I just to clarify, that's not proposed for these that are before you tonight, though.
Correct.
Say that again, please, April.
So we're not going to provide a sunshade for those?
Doesn't have.
That's not on the plans though.
Pardon me?
Doesn't have it on the Pikes Peak, does it?
No, sir, it
No,
does
it-
not. So this, what they are proposing does not include the shade structure for these two
But it was
sites.
approved originally without the shade structure.
Correct.
Okay, so let's not cloud and complicate the situation if it's already been approved. Does David still have his hand up? Okay, can we unmute him so I can ask him if
He's unmuted.
Councillor Miles?
Mr. Mayor, I can't hear you.
Well, we can hear you, David, because we're getting a lot of background noise, including a dog barking, and it's kind of off-putting because we're trying to discuss this, and all we're getting is a lot of background noise. Hence the reason why we muted you again.
If
Anyway,
I
you're
had
unmuted.
something to say, Mr. Mayor, I would have said it. I did not have anything to say.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Let's bring this back. Can you just remind us of the three items, please, April?
Yes, the first item.
Let's
references-
take them in order and let's just vote on them individually so that we're clear and we can move on.
Yes, sir. The first item is referencing to the plans call them trellises. So trellises / pergolas that were originally approved as galvanized steel structures with specific call out data on those plans. What's presented to you tonight is a replacement with a wood structure for the two locations, one in phase 1 and one in phases 2 through 4.
Okay, so do I have a motion to, well, first of all, hang on, before I go there, let me just open this up for public comment. If you gentlemen could step aside and to see if there is any public comment on this.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Marie Galelli, 1104 North Tangerine. I was looking on my phone also. Trellis is not a pergola. So if we're talking a pergola, I think the stainless steel, they said, will last longer. It's rust resistant. It is just a better option. Going to wood, we live in a humid climate. Even if it's cedar, it is not going to last as long. The HOA is going to have to take care of maintaining it, replacing it. It is not going to last 50 years. I think that's what you said. It's just not as wood. I think the metal is the better way to go. I'm glad that there are two pieces of equipment in each of the parks. That's it. Thanks.
Andy Everline, 1012 North Lakeshore Boulevard. I also agree metal's the way to go, but I have a question. I didn't see anything in there about what the surface is going to be in the playground. Do you have that decided yet?
Yes.
What is the surface going to be?
It's called engineered wood fiber, EWF.
Okay.
It's a wood product that has been specifically engineered to be a certain size.
Is it a mulch?
It's
Not a mulch, but it is a wood-based product that's been treated and formed to a specific size.
Okay, can a wheelchair go through it?
We have a separate ADA accessible ramp.
Okay, so a ramp that goes like through the whole playground?
It doesn't go through the whole playground. It's designed to blend into the mulch and then get you to a transfer station on a piece of play equipment.
Okay.
Any other public comment? Then I'll close public comment, bring it back to council. Can I have a motion if somebody wishes to transfer the steel structure to a wooden structure?
If I could just real quick, the original approval didn't have any structures at all. So we're providing more than was in the original approval. So
hang on. So, well, we must have had something in there.
Mr. Mayor, can I object to what the gentleman just said? The original approval, which was done before a couple of you were on the council, deferred the decision. It didn't say no playground equipment. What it said was, as each of the phases came up, the council would weigh in on whether the proposal was adequate.
and I apologize, Counselor Miles, I meant specifically pergolas, not the play structures.
Okay.
Well, I'm at a loss. I mean, I don't know how we're voting to change something that wasn't in there in the first place. So
not
explain that
entirely-
to me, please.
That's not entirely accurate. So there were two phase one approvals. The first one originally came before council, pardon me. The original first came before council for approval. And then the applicant submitted a phase 1B revision. So that's the time where your current planning consultant became involved to review that phase 1B application. And so one of the things requested was to please try to incorporate some additional shade structures within that. So the applicant responded, proposing the trellises / pergola that then came to council for a vote. So in the updated plans that came before you, it showed the trellises as part of the landscaping plan.
Okay, so
But isn't the trellis different than isn't the trellis different than the pergola? It's two different things.
If I can just ask the audience, please.
The term has been intertwined
So
in their
intertwined in
documents.
this document, so that's why.
I think that's why
we
there's the
have-
confusion.
Okay.
So when I reference trellis in the staff report, that's
Mm-hmm.
because that's the language consistent in the final site plan approval.
Okay, so when we speak about trellis, we are speaking about the pergola.
Yes.
So they are one of the same thing.
Well, they're actually two different items, but that's how I say it. I think of trellises when we're planting roses or anything that would crawl up and like morning glories on a trellis. But when we speak about a pergola, the pergola is a pergola. That just
And I think it's
Yeah.
okay as long as
okay.
what you're looking at,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's called a trellis or a pergola, if you're voting on the documents that are in front of you,
Mhm.
as long as whatever's put up matches what you approve, we can call it either. name.
Okay, thank you for the clarification.
You're welcome.
Okay. I can make a motion.
You can. I would encourage it.
I'd like to make a motion that, wait, read it back to me again.
Yes, ma'am.
Because we're supposed to do this in three parts, you said you wanted done?
Three parts. It just seems more logical to do that.
Because I was thinking if we can just kind of hear the whole thing and
Well, let's just do this particular part because
you want to do it.
I think it's going to confuse us otherwise.
So your motion would want to be whether you are recommending approval of the proposed changes, or if you want to recommend denial, thereby keeping the original approval for the galvanized steel structure.
Okay, got it here. So from what I'm understanding from our conversation, there wasn't a exact material proposed in the original.
There was. So there was the phase 2 through 4 plan that came before council matched a phase 1B revision that was administratively approved. So what came before council was an additional trellis/pergola detail of that galvanized steel with specific manufacturing information.
Got it. Got it. Got it. Right, because the original plan that came before us, I want to say maybe a year and a half ago, was an admin approval. But then when the revision came, it came with the trellis/pergola, and it came in the steel portion. I'd like to make a motion to, where's my notes? Here. Here we go. I'd like to make a motion to approve Hillside Grove proposed amenities minor amendment for the pergola trellis.
So that is to change it from a steel structure to a wooden structure. That's what you're proposing.
Yes. Yes.
Isn't that what you're proposing?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. How many will you have? 2 in 2 different phases?
Okay. So the motion on the table is to do as the developer has asked, and that's to change the material for the trellis/pergola from a metal structure to a cedar wooden structure. Have I got that right?
That's my motion.
Then do I have a second for that? Councillor Miles, did you hear the motion?
I certainly did.
So we do not have a second, so that motion fails. So the steel structure remains in place.
I would like to make a motion that we approve the 2 items at each of the 2 locations, but they must remain as the galvanized steel and not be changed to wooden structures.
Well, we effectively did that because the motion to change it failed, and therefore they can't change it anyway.
But I'm making a motion so they can go forward.
Okay, so we have a.
So
Hang on one second.
question before we go forward is that I didn't hear that it was a galvanized steel. That was what is galvanized?
Sir, yes.
Galvanized steel shouldn't be used in play equipment like this either. Eventually the galvanization is going to fall apart in locations, whether it's at the connections below or some connections at the top. If we have to move to a metal structure, my recommendation would be a anodized aluminum structure. So if we have to abide by that, metal is fine, but I would not recommend as a landscape architect to the council to use galvanized metal.
I'll amend my motion to accept the anodized aluminum or galvanized steel.
That's going to be ugly.
Yeah, I've read the aluminum is not quite as good a product as the galvanized steel. Doesn't hold up as well, and
The Navy stopped thinking.
Yeah, but both of them do better than wooden structures. I've bought many items of playground equipment over the years, and the wooden ones that we bought always deteriorated much faster than those that were made out of metal.
I recommend that we go with the galvanized steel. Is that?
Well, I put a motion on the floor. Do I have a second? If not, then my motion fails.
So Councillor Miles' motion is to leave it as it is, except that he would add anodized steel as well as galvanized steel.
No.
Do I have
That's aluminum, not steel for the other one.
Okay. So aluminum or galvanized steel. Do I have a second for that motion? If not, then that motion also fails. So we are back with two failed motions. So let's close it there, and you stick with galvanized steel. Okay, everybody in agreement?
Yes.
Okay. Let's move on to the second one, because people in the audience are giving up the will to live here.
Yes, sir. The second item is with respect to Phase 1B amenities for the playground equipment. Currently, what was approved was 2 playground structures. The applicant has committed to ensuring 2 playground structures will be located there. It's just the design is changing to the new design shown in your packet this evening. I would request that whatever motion you make, that for that second structure that's being added, not shown to you tonight, that you would just stipulate that that structure must be similar to the other one that you're approving tonight. Thank you.
Okay, can I have a motion to that effect, please?
We're voting on the playground, are we now? Is that where we are?
Yes, the playground equipment.
The equipment, so we are moving it from the previous company that was going to be used to Playmart. Is that the vote?
Well, I think there's
That's what I'm
there's a change
understanding.
in that.
The change.
Just explain the last bit, April.
Sure.
From the
So the original concept for the park in Phase 1B included the not the Playmart, but the other, yes. And so the new proposal is a play structure that looks like this, which is a different format. It includes monkey bars, swingy things, more climb. The previous one was slide and had like a covered top. There is also one that is for the other park that is the same Playmart, but has a covered top like that. Yes,
Like
you
this,
see there.
right?
Yes.
That would be for the tot lot?
So what you're saying, April, if I understand you right, is that we have change in the equipment because there's a change in the manufacturer. What you're saying is that you want to ensure that the equipment that is going in there, we obviously can't be identical because it's different company, that equipment is going to be very similar to what was originally approved by council.
And similar to what you would be approving tonight. Yes, sir. And you can handle item 2 and 3 at the same time.
Okay.
Park 6 and Park 3 are the 2 that are proposing to have different.
That's going to be my question, because I see that one, the other one is for more of an older age group, and this one would be more so for the tot lot.
That's correct. So Park 6, which you're looking at for that tot lot, would be required to have 2 structures, and Park 3 would have 1 structure. Because in your currently approved final site plan, what they're referring to as Park 6 has 2 structures, and Park 3 was approved with 1 structure.
The 1 structure.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Is Playmart ADA compliant?
Yes, yeah, there's some information at the outset about all the good stuff about Lake Park.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion. KOMPA. I'd like to make a motion to approve the change from compound to Playmart with the two tot lots in lot 6 and the one additional play gym that will be in 1. Correct.
Did you get all that, April?
Yes,
Does that cover it okay?
it does cover it.
Covers
Okay.
all of them.
Yeah.
Okay, in that case, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Those against, say nay.
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 Motion passes 3-2. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you, April.
Thank you very much.
With that, we'll move on. Sure.
Councilor Miles, your background noise is so loud that it's going to be affecting the recording of the meeting. I'm going to have to mute you. Please just raise your hand when you want to speak, and you'll be unmuted then.
Okay, I'm not hearing any background noise, but
That's the people in the background that's there. It's right here next to us though. So I'm just going to mute you now. Please raise your hand when you want to speak though.
I will.
Thank you. My wife texts me to say that it sounds like they have a coffee shop in the background. That's what she can hear, and she's listening to it online. So let's move on to item 5, presentation from GFL, Green for Life. Gentlemen, if you would introduce yourselves for the record.
Sure will. Try to keep this kind of short for you. My name is Skip McCall. I am the Government Contracts Manager with GFL Environmental.
My name is Adam West. I'm a general manager at Orange City GFL, responsible for the service of Howey-in-the-Hills hair trash. And just glad to be here to get to meet everybody. My first time here, I was here, met with Mr. O'Keefe and some people here a few weeks ago, and looking forward to make sure our service is out of this world.
Yeah, and also we don't have a formal presentation, if you will, tonight. It's just more just of a kind of reintroduction of ourselves. I know it's been probably a minute since we've been at one of these Howey Council meetings. I've been disengaged and moved to some other areas of our company for the last couple of years. So, but I have been with the company for 11 years. I live in Lake County. I've been here for 40 years, so I'm very familiar with the town of Howey. And to Adam's point, he is our new general manager for Orange City Hauling and taking over the operations. And we've been working with staff over the last couple of months, meeting with them, working on some things that we're going to hopefully see some improvements on. And we just appreciate you allowing us to be here tonight to approach you guys. And if you have any questions, we'd be happy to answer. If not, that's all we have.
Yeah, I do. So we could not wait until you came for your presentation. Adam, what is your last name and the title again?
West.
And your title?
General manager?
Oh, good.
Yeah.
For our area, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Mr. West, we've been having a couple of problems I'm sure you've been hearing about between truck pickup, oil spills, especially in Venezia. I can't speak of other areas, but our roads from the oil spills from the trucks that are coming through is just literally just tearing up the roads. And many times we don't know, like if we have a pickup, say today, Monday, and then we have recyclers on Wednesday, and then there is Thursday is to pick up. A lot of times they come, but we don't know if it's going to be early morning or in the afternoon, or sometimes not at all. So I was wondering if there was going to be some changes in that area. And then the other thing, lastly, is the residents, they wanted me to talk about bulk. Like Monday is supposed to be a bulk pickup day, but then it's not really announced and no one knows about it. So that may or may not be accurate information. So this is just so good that you've been able to come here and chat with us.
Absolutely. So let me address the oil, spilled oil, or sometimes it's not actually oil, sometimes it's garbage juice or the seal of the truck. It may just be liquid juice that comes out. But in oil situations where there is oil spilled, we come out right away. We put down the oil dry. If it's necessary, we can bring our third-party vendor, and they'll come out and spray it off, gather up the oil, and dispose of it the proper way. As typically on oil, we address those immediately right away. As far as your service, yes, Mondays. So I know it hasn't changed in a long time, but Mondays we have 2 trucks in the area. One starts on what I would consider the lakeside, up on the north side, and the other starts on the south side. And they work in the middle, and they work together, and they're usually done pretty early on Mondays. I mean, even though it's a bulk day, and there's usually more garbage on Mondays than on Thursdays. But they're usually done around 1, 2 o'clock. They're, at the latest.
Yeah, but that's about the time they come.
Yeah.
To
They should
pick
be
up.
finished up about that. I don't know exactly where you live. You live in the Valencia's
Benicia.
down here? Yeah, the newer area on the south
On
side.
the south side.
Yeah, so they start up north, they run down south. So what we ask is, typically we run the route the same way all the time. It does not a lot of variance, but there it could be if the truck goes down and we have to require another truck to come over from Orange City to help us out. It may be a different time, but typically they're in the same area most times. But that's on Mondays. On Tuesdays, we only have 1 truck cover because it's only, it's your second pickup week.
Well, no, we
So one
don't
truck
have
will run.
we don't have a second pickup week. We don't have Tuesday.
Monday, Thursday. I'm sorry.
Is
Thursday.
it-
Sorry.
It's Monday and Thursday, and then Wednesday is the, okay,
I apologize.
no worries, no worries. So here's the thing is that it would be really great if GFL can distribute like a schedule. I know it's on your website, but for many individuals, it may or may not be easier, but it'd be easier if it could be a schedule that folks know that bulk is Monday. I don't know, like some folks have put bulk out, but then when the truck comes and goes, it leaves the bulk.
Yeah, let me just re-clarify the bulk pickup.
Okay.
Because I know that has changed, I wouldn't say recently, but it's changed with the new contract that we procured. a
Yes,
couple years
that is
ago.
true.
Yeah.
With the $20 or something like
Yeah,
that.
correct. I mean, basically, it's bulk is not a scheduled collection day for Monday. Residents can get rid of their bulk collection or the bulk items. They would call us and then they would say, hey, we would tell them, hey, it's X amount of dollars, and then we'll come out and pick it up. So just for clarification, Monday is not a dedicated bulk day for the town. It's basically whoever calls in that would like to have that service.
Oh.
It's a scheduled service. Yeah.
See, that wasn't clear. You got a call.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, you call GFL, and then we would have a supervisor go out and look at your pile because you with bulk pickup, right? You could have a couch, you could have a large piece of furniture. We don't know what that looks like, so we'll have our supervisor go out and assess it, and then we'll say, hey, is it X amount of dollars? The resident will agree. Okay, we'll go out there and tell them we'll pick it up on a such and such day. So yeah, it's basically you schedule it.
So it's not a set fee, Skip?
No, it's basically, it's again, if you've got 4 pieces of furniture out there, it could be a little bit more versus a single pieces of chair.
So
it's like 20, I think it's $20. It's $20 a cubic yard.
That's what I want to say.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. So it could be, most of the time, to be honest with you, the bulk that we see, it's a piece of furniture. Couch. It's general.
Oh, one of these chairs.
Yeah.
So which day do you pick up yard waste?
I believe that's just Monday, right?
Just Mondays.
We've been told Tuesdays for a long time.
Mm.
No, it's been Mondays and Thursdays since I've been
Yeah,
here,
no.
I think, for a while.
Yeah, no, we're only in the town of Howey Mondays, Thursdays, and then recycling on Wednesday.
So okay, so we got yard waste and regular trash on Monday, you got regular trash on Thursday, and we've got recycling on Wednesday. And so if anybody wants bulk pickup, then they have to contact you.
Yep.
And then you go and assess it,
Well,
tell them how
schedule it,
much
yeah,
it's going to
correct.
cost. And I understand, obviously, that bulk pickup is a contractual thing with us, but you don't charge it everywhere. You certainly don't charge it across the pond, and your services are significantly cheaper across the pond for pretty much the same mirrored service. So why, other than the fact that it's in the contract, do you feel that is a fair way to treat the town and its residents who, you've been our contractor for a lot of years, and I've had dealt with you in both towns, and it just seems a little unfair with some of the issues that we have had. And to Adam's point, I live on Calabria Way in Venetia, and trust me, they don't come and clean your oil up immediately at all. It's there and it bleaches out with the sun, and it isn't juice because it just doesn't go away with the sun. It's out there, and you can see it weeks afterwards.
Yeah, I will say oil does discolor, pavement. It does discolor. It's hard to get that coloring back regular. It does bleach out eventually with the sun.
So what did you fix your trucks so they don't drop hydraulic fluid on our roads?
Well, we can fix leaks and drips, but what's hard not to fix is when the hydraulic line busts. They do bust every occasionally. It's full of hydraulic fluid. It runs on, all the hydraulics.
So
our line does bust once in a while.
Okay, but it's not once in a while that we're getting hydraulic fluid through our subdivision.
I would like to, suggest if that's something that our drivers are seeing, it is on the driver's responsibility to make sure they call that in to their supervisor. That's something that Adam will address with his supervisor and his drivers. If something were to, let's say, for example, be catastrophic, and when I say to Adam's point, if we break a hose, a hydraulic hose, and it's 5 or so gallons, standard protocol is, and correct me if I'm wrong, standard protocol is we have to clean it up immediately. We can't just leave that hydraulic fluid sit there. So whether it's speedy dry, if it's significant enough, we've done this in other municipalities. We have a third party pressure washing company that we address, but we have to make sure that our folks are communicating that back to Adam and his team so we can take care of that expeditiously.
I can run through Venetia tomorrow. Matter of fact, take a look, see what we're talking about.
I was just about to invite you because on Bellissimo, when the truck broke down and we had hydraulic fuel all over Bellissimo, where would that be? In the near John's house, Port. No. Bellissimo. No. Bellissimo, that is across from where Paul is. I said, no, that's right after you turn off of Venezia Boulevard and you make the right turn. And it's the house that is the rooters, they root for the Chiefs. They have the flags out there. Okay. And that's how we know. We have different markers and just that house. So we had to call in because the fluid, this happened about 1.5 years ago. The fluid was all over, and then I made the phone call to where someone, I guess, contacted you guys, EPA, to contact you guys, and then someone came out and they put the speedy dry, but that truck was still there until like a couple of hours, and you can see that whole road. You can literally kick the pavement up with your boot or your shoe. And so it eats away, and would love to have you come and do a survey of Venezia, because throughout all of those roads, we've had a few incidents that has happened. And then you can come down Calabria Way as well. We have a couple.
Is that also in Venezia?
It's in Venezia. It's a cul-de-sac. That's in Venezia.
If I could step into the conversation.
Sure. One sec, David. And so if you just take Bellissimo and just take it through the entire community and just go through, you'll be able to see, because that's our main road. That's one of our main roads that have the most.
We'll take a look at it.
Sure.
Down there quite a bit.
Yes, David, I yield to you.
I understand the problem that was just gone over with the hydraulic fluid, and it exists throughout the town. But there is one other issue that I hear frequently, and that is failure to pick up yard waste. And I think the mayor mentioned that briefly, but why do your people not pick up yard waste?
So we're gonna pick up yard waste on Monday. I know sometimes if there's a large pile, there could be a tag left that's above, 3 foot, 3 cubic yards. But
I want to ask you.
Please speak into the microphone. I can't hear your
absolutely.
response.
Yeah, our guys are, made to pick up yard waste and we pick it up quite regularly. I'm not sure if there's one certain pile we didn't miss. I know that I hear there's been some issues in the past, been a change of leadership, and I know we have a brand new 2025 Peterbilt over here now to reduce the chance of leaks. But to get back to the yard waste question, I believe we got yard waste all picked up. I was over here about 30 days ago. We met with the team here locally, and I committed to making sure we change our service protocol and we make sure we have good service going forward. And so that's the change we're going to make going forward. And I believe our yard waste, we're not having as much issues with yard waste right now currently.
I think part of the problem is 3 cubic yards. How much is that?
So you know what the rear loader looks like that comes through town?
Yeah.
That's basically one full hopper.
Yeah, I've heard it's a pickup truck, the bed of a pickup truck.
Yeah, roughly. I mean, not measured out, but yeah, exactly.
I think they eyeball it. I don't think there's, oh, that looks like a lot, we're gonna tag it.
No, the guys would rather get rid of it and be done with it.
Well, that's what
a lot of times it's not.
I mean, our neighbor has bags out, like maybe
Yeah.
10 bags, and sometimes they'll sit there for 2 weeks.
Well, I tell you right now, if that happens, I'd definitely like to have a call because I can fix that and correct that.
Okay.
I can fix that, sir,
Need
for
to
sure.
Have that communicated to us. If that's
Okay.
how-
That has been communicated to the team that's over here now, the drivers that run over here, and we should be seeing some better service over here.
Okay,
I
and
just
then-
look forward.
And
to
then
next
in
time we
terms
talk.
of their, the way they work it, I don't think there's any rhyme to reason to it. I mean, one day it'll be one way, another week it'll be something different. The times will be, and maybe they just want variety. I don't know, but it's not a set pattern.
Well, trash is supposed to be out by 6 a.m. I think,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. And so, I mean, we try to run it. The guys run it the same way. Usually start at the north side, run down to Venetia, and then come back up around on the west.
Some days
side of
it'll
town.
be picked up at 8 o'clock, another time it might be 2 in the afternoon.
And that could be
7 o'clock at
Yeah.
night.
At night.
Yeah, and
Or
you
at night.
have to address that too. I think, just in all fairness, our trucks run, they break down. So if we have a mechanical failure, that could put it 2 or 3 hours behind.
Sure.
That's something that we need to make sure that we're communicating to the town, say, hey, by the way, we're running a little bit late today. Those are things that we need to close the loop on our end internally to fix some of that communication. But yeah, it does happen, unfortunately. Or a driver will go on vacation and you got a new driver stepping in and he's running it a little bit slower than maybe the other driver would be. So there are some variables that lead into that. But we try to mitigate those issues as much as we can. I know, it's garbage collection is like watching babies, right? They're gone. Everybody's hollers and screams. Where are they at? And garbage is really no difference.
I got
You know,
another
so-
question for you, and I think we've resolved this. I'm not open up a can of worms. But somebody, if they want 2 cans, they want 2 recycling cans. If they call your office, a lot of times they say no problem. And then you get double billed. So
Let me clarify for that. Okay, so for clarification, there was an issue. Well, I would say there was a miscommunication between the town and GFL on additional sets of carts. We met last month. We have
Right.
since corrected that. We were under the impression that GFL would be billing for additional sets of carts. That is in fact not the case. We found that is not true to be how we do that. The town, and Sean, correct me if I'm wrong on this, the town administers the billing. So there was a month that I think we sent out 2 or 3 bills and we had to get those credited.
so the town is billing, but you are getting that money.
No, so yes, that's correct. And we actually bill the town for
Okay.
any additional sets of
Okay,
carts.
so my concern is just make sure that your people, because I guess sometimes maybe it doesn't even come to your local office, the calls, I don't know. But they need to be consistent with what they tell people
Correct.
too.
Yep.
Because I think that creates
We,
problems also, and it creates them for the town, I
yep,
think.
we rectified that last month.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anything else?
All right. It is not normal for us to open up public comment during a presentation, but I'm going to do that right now simply because it's an emotive subject. Before I do that, would you guys, knowing some of the issues that we've had, I know you've rectified some of them more recently, but for those who have lived in the town for a long time, these issues have been going on and on and on and on. And one of the, going back to this bulk pickup, and again, understanding that it's a contractual thing, but do you guys think that it might at least be a goodwill gesture if you stop charging us for that bulk pickup, as you don't charge it to other cities where you also have much lower rates?
Well, just to address that for sure. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, by the way, for that question. When this contract went out for bid several years ago, we bid it accordingly to specs. Not to say that we can't always go back and look at a contract or look at what language says or how it reads. In good faith, we can take a look at that. But to answer your question, as far as to address your question in regards to fairness, we look at every solicitation when it is sent out via RFP or an ITB, and we run through our internal protocols and our own pro forma to understand what we're actually bidding upon. And that doesn't say that, every municipality is different. You could have less residents, you can have more residents, you can have more commercial versus less commercial. A lot of that factors into those models. So, but I guess the short of it is we can always go back and look at contract language, and we can always go back and look at it. And that's something we need to address, then we can look at it. But
well, I think you should do that. When is this current contract up?
2029.
2029. We got 3 years. Okay. Well, perhaps you'd have a look at that, Skip, and let me know what your feelings are on that, please. All right, if you would step back and I'd open it up for public comment, but please be succinct. I think the gentlemen have come expressed their own concerns and the things that they have done in order to put this in place. So this is not an opportunity just to beat up on GFL.
Sorry. Andy Everline, 1012 North Lakeshore Boulevard. Hey, thank you guys for coming. I'm thrilled to see you. I've had questions for a long time. Now, when we moved here in 2020, we weren't paying in 2020. We bought the house in 2011, moved here in 2020. We weren't paying for bulk pickup because at that point we put a sofa out that we weren't going to use when we moved in, and it was taken. And so anyway, I know that it's changed since then. My question is, why does yard waste and trash go in the same truck at the same time? Because it used to be different.
That's the way we always collected it, I guess.
Oh, no, because it used to be that on Tuesday we had yard waste, and on yard waste day, they didn't pick up trash. Now it's just all thrown in together. So why can't we put yard waste out Monday and Thursday if it's all getting thrown together?
Different type of truck.
Well, sometimes, just to answer your question, some municipalities don't mix yard waste. Some municipalities do mix yard waste. This municipality chooses to mix trash and yard waste.
But we didn't
together.
used to.
I'm not sure when it changed. Not sure when it changed. It's different contract. Yeah, it was a different company.
Well, no. Even with this company, it was still, and then all of a sudden it must have changed when we got the new contract.
It did change when we got the new contract, the same as they didn't used to charge for bulk pickup. Now they do. Unfortunately, it was just handled badly at the time when that was renewed, and it is what it is now. But I'd still like you to have a look at the bulk pickup if you would. Hello.
Good evening, Leslie Manning, 111 East Holly Street. First of all, I'd like to thank you for what you're doing. I've had many positive experiences with the garbage company. Not that that's something anyway. And for me personally, thanks for coming. And it doesn't matter to me or my family when you do come, as long as we do get pick up according to our contract. One of the things, a couple clarification, when you were talking about the sets of garbage cans, because this happened at the Howie Market and other personal. I was always told, perhaps in the last few years, that if you wanted an extra set, you would be charged for your garbage can, but not recycle can. So let's get some clarification. Are you meaning a garbage can and a recycle can, and I'm not going to be charged for the second set? Or it's just the garbage can? Because I was told it's $100 to get, this was a while ago, $100 to get another garbage can if I wanted one at my home, but I could have as many recycle cans as I wanted. So what is the clarification?
Generally would get an extra set of carts. So you would get an extra set. So you would have two sets of carts. And that's something that you would, again, you would notify the town. They would set that up. We would deliver it. Because the town, again, we don't do any billing to residents.
Right.
Except for the bulk.
So right now I have one garbage can and two recycle cans and I'm being
Ooh,
charged
tell 'em
for one
that.
set, right? I mean. Right?
Got a camera.
You should be saying.
Well, then that changed because we were told, again,
Yeah.
clarification. The other piece of it, real quick. I think the webpage is an excellent tool for the staff management and the employees, whoever is managing our webpage. Make sure that it's clarified. Because I think, if I could be wrong, that the bulk, it's $20 per item, unless that's been changed. Now it's cubic. It is
says cubic
cubic.
yard on the
Okay.
website.
So a lot of people don't quite understand what, like Tim's point. Exactly. So I think maybe we could have some clarification on that. That would help people as, yeah. And
So one garbage can, a 96-gallon cart is half. So if you have two of those, that's 1 cubic yard.
okay, so
Two of the large containers, if you imagine that, that would be 1 cubic yard.
Yeah, the hard thing is though, Adam, if you got a couch, you can't put a couch in one or two cans. And that,
You're gonna have to cut that baby up. Piecemeal.
This is for reference. That's how much.
I think this is another good reason why you just get rid of the charge and just pick up everything.
I concur. I think that it's in all fairness, if it's other municipalities that are not being charged.
Well, that
Exactly.
unfortunately is the way that
Is
their
the
contract
was written.
But I'm just throwing it out there as an opportunity for good graces.
So I want to get it clear. So if I call and I'm on an extra regular can, I'm gonna get that and a recyclable?
You
So
generally,
I'm gonna get a whole set even if I ask for one?
yeah, that's correct. But let me just to add to that. Your recycling card is currently 65 gallons. Your trash cart's 95 gallons. Okay. So if you're looking for additional space on the recycling side, you can call and request, and we can deliver you a 95-gallon recycling cart. So you have more capacity.
And you will take away the 65?
Yes.
And we won't get
we can
charged?
switch that. No, we'll switch that out.
That is good to know.
That's good to know.
So if you're having problems with that, that's something.
Mr. Mayor,
Change it in February?
Mr. Mayor,
Call us.
can you hear me?
I can hear you, David. Go ahead.
I'm going to have to leave the meeting now. The business that's Wi-Fi I'm using closes in 5 minutes, and so I have to go. I did have some input to commend our city manager related to the next agenda item, which I have been waiting on, related to the electricity franchises, and he can probably fill you in on why and what we're doing in that particular area. Thank you very much, but I've got to leave right now.
Okay, David. Thanks for your participation.
Thank you.
All right, so I'll now close public comment, and thank you very much, gentlemen, for your attention and your explanations. Have a good evening, and we'll move on to.
Do you get a lot of ribbing about being Batman?
Yeah. It dates you though, right? Not a lot of the younger guys do with that. Yeah. Y'all have a great evening. Thank you very much.
First thing
All right, we'll move on to item 6, which is a presentation from Duke Energy. I apologize that you guys have had to sit through this for the last 2 hours, but feel sorry for us. We do this twice a month.
Good evening, it's Patty D'Alessandro. I'm with Duke Energy. My colleagues, Brian Lloyd, he's the general manager of our projects and distribution team. We've got Eva Luzier, the director of our project management, and finally, Kim Graves from our franchise strategy. We're not here to talk about the franchise. We were asked to provide information requested for undergrounding certain sections of the city or your town. And we were provided a map. And so my colleague Eva Luzier is going to give the presentation on a high level estimate for undergrounding in the sections that were given to us.
Thank you, Patty.
Thank you.
All right, good evening. Thank you. So we wanted to I want to outline before I get into the number that's on the next screen that the way we did the non-binding estimate, this is a high level non-binding estimate for you as outlined in the process and procedures by the Public Service Commission. So at first we'll go through a high level estimate. If you want to go to the next page. So we were provided the map on the right-hand side there, and it was divided into 4 quadrants. Initially, we were trying to get an estimate by quadrant, but based on how our mapping system is, we weren't able to do it by quadrant for the high-level estimate. If we continue to move forward with a detailed design, we can structure this however you guys want, by phases or anything like that, by the quadrants shown on the right-hand side. But for right now, the non-binding estimate to underground the 4 quadrants you see highlighted there would be an estimated $25 million. And that's about 1,100 customers is what we looked at. And again, I want to stress it's a high level. We didn't come out to the field. We didn't measure every street. This is all from a mapping perspective. We count the number of poles, we count the distance of wires, and come up with a high level estimate for you. And so this assumes that Duke Energy would do all the work, which includes the conduit that would go underground and the boring. With other municipalities, we have partnered where they would install the conduit and things like that, which would be savings for you. Again, we could get into those numbers if we go into a detailed design for an estimate. This number also does not include the individual service connections or conversions. So that means every house we're undergrounding in the main road, but the meter can or the meter box on the side of the house all right now have overhead services. If the meter can would need to be converted to be able to receive underground, those costs are not included in here. Those would be done by an electrician.
Could you give a ballpark? Any idea about that? What
Per meter,
Yeah,
I could ballpark
say run it 50 feet.
as long as you promise not to hold me to that. And some of our other undergrounding services to fully convert a meter can would probably be $2,500 per unit per
Thank you.
house. So, and also not included in this is any third-party attachers to the pole. So a lot of times when we go in and underground, it's our pole, we're at the top of the pole, but you've got AT&T or whoever else is on the pole. So that does not include the cost of them undergrounding. So understanding even if Duke Energy undergrounds their service, if they elect to stay on the pole, the poles will still stay there.
Yeah.
So any questions initially?
Owned by Duke?
They are owned by us. So then we get into some negotiations where we would notify them we are going underground, we are abandoning the pole. They would have a necessary timeline to either underground or assume ownership of the pole.
Okay.
Thank you, Town Manager. I think it's probably best that this was obviously brought up partly by Councillor Miles, and so just inform us about what it is you're asking. I mean, this 25 million, one assumes that we're not looking to the town for that, that you have that in your piggy bank that you're just going to.
That is the cost that Duke Energy would charge the requesting party.
So yeah, so this started, I'll give a little background, and Councilor Miles mentioned this in previous council meetings. But the Duke contract is coming up within the next 12 months or so for renewal. Councilor Miles did want to consider this in light of the renewal and look at making improvements to the town. But yes, I mean, this is the cost, and there would be some cost share. Now, if there was a reduction in the scope or scale of this, because I know Councilor Miles in particular was looking at the trees that every few years get cut on, primarily on 19 on Palm. Those are the most visible. You can really see the trees go into a Y formation, letter Y, when after they come through. Well, some of the neighborhoods, that's correct. Depending on how, right, depending on the trees in a certain area and which way the lines go. But you know, one of the primary, most visible areas to everyone in town or everyone who comes through town would be Palm or 19, which really is the dividing corridor between these quadrants. If we think of a northeast, southeast, northwest, southwest quadrant system, it really, at least in my opinion, I believe Councilor Miles's opinion, it really is primarily that visibility corridor of 19 going down. So, I mean, in my opinion, that would be a starting area. But again,
Maybe
the
put it on
cost is the
Christmas
cost.
Councilor Miles agree to pay for all?
We'll send him the invoice. Yes.
It's in his life insurance policy. He's printing the money right now.
So again, this is solely a presentation. This is not consideration approval. As the proposer said, this is not even an official number being presented by them. So this is an opportunity for council to ask questions, discuss it as a group, things of that nature. So how desirable is the outcome of undergrounding the older part of Howey? And how invested is the town in this as a project that it wants to direct staff to undertake?
Sorry.
Just, for example, is it a case of where we could do along Palm Avenue first? Does that then have any bad repercussions for other parts of the town, or can we, I guess what I want to say, can this be done incrementally?
Absolutely. So it was broken down in phases on the map that was provided us. We can do it in any kind of phases you want. I would prefer at least to know the grand plan so that in designing, we can keep that in mind.
How
instead of
much
just
lead
doing-
time do you need from, hey, we think we'd like this, to where you can produce a plan?
Depending on the scope, I mean, if you're just talking a mile or something like that, we could probably engineer that in 3 months or something, a very specific engineering plan. If we went for the whole concept here, we'd probably ask for 6, 7, 8 months to do it. Cause
It's
we,
about a year.
yeah, we would put boots on the ground, have them come out, walk it, measure it specifically. To add to that timeline, if we could go to the next slide, just to make sure you understand a few of the other caveats with it. So the binding estimate is contingent upon a detailed design phase. Again, that would be the 6, 7, 8 month time frame. But the municipality would be responsible for securing easements required. So anywhere we needed to put that, the requesting party would be responsible for that. And just keeping in mind, again, regulatory or environmental permitting could impact from start to finish. I wouldn't want to commit to the day we start to the day construction's finished.
So does your planning process include what you would anticipate the permitting process to be?
Yes.
What I'm trying to get at is.
Can you
if
speak
we-
into your microphone, John, please?
If we put in the buy order, let's say, you know, is it gonna be like 2, 3 years? And therefore gives us a chance to go secure funding?
Yes, it could be as long as you would like it to be.
Okay.
Yes. So
What success have you had, municipalities that you've done this for, success have they had in getting grant money?
I don't know that I've discussed where they get the money from.
They just get it.
Or not?
So we do have, we've just completed one in Seminole County. I don't know how they've secured funding, but it just was completed on one major thoroughfare within the city.
To your knowledge, are there grants available to do this?
I have heard yes, but I don't know how you go about that and how you go down that rabbit hole.
Thank you.
I have a question. You mentioned that you own the poles and the cables. Are we married to you guys? Obviously, if you go across the pond, you have Seco across there. Is it an option for the town to change the provider?
No, we have, we.
Well, I'm surprised.
I'm not gonna sugarcoat. We have territorial agreements and this is within our territory. We do have franchise agreements, which allows us to work in rights of way where we pay franchise and municipal taxes, but you are within the territory.
Got it.
I understand. And they're not inconsiderable. But of course, they also go on to people's electricity bills as well. So
Yes, there are some that are co-ops such as Winter Park. They have their own electric utility and they charge.
as they do in Leesburg as well.
Yes. And New Smyrna and others.
Okay.
Just as a clarification on that point as well, there is a little part of the town where Seco has rights, but that's part of the town that hasn't been developed yet. So basically Watermark area,
Really?
I believe part, if not all of Mission Rise, I'd have to double check. But that's Seco claimed area, but it hasn't been developed yet. So all current customers are effectively.
And that
Duke
would be within the
customers.
territorial agreement. So correct to your point, Sean.
So those will be hooked up through Seco, not through Duke Energy.
Correct.
Okay.
Actually, I think Contours is within the Seco.
Okay.
areas.
Any other questions for these ladies? Okay, thank you again for coming, and I'm sorry you had to wait such a long time to speak. Okay, let's move on to
Do we need to look at extending the time?
not yet.
Okay.
It's 8:30. We got to go to, and we'll get this all done. It's only now a matter. Come on, Tim, be positive. It's we've only got 4 sets of dates to do, and then some departmental reports.
Actually, I'd like to, if we can look ahead a little bit, I'd like to defer date selection to the next meeting when we've got the other counselor here. So we can make sure we've got dates set up for us.
I don't
He
think
should be back. He's gone for a 3-week period. I'm not sure when that started. But at least he would be tuning in. To your point, Councilor Arnold, I think it's very valid there's no sense setting dates if
Yeah,
20% of the councilors can't
exactly.
He just won't be able to
make it.
Yep.
I can at least bring up some points regarding those dates and some new laws that have passed that affect it, but as far as picking the dates, we could take.
I mean, I just don't want to set the crew up for failure is what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. Just with regards to the dates, just a couple of observations. Do you normally have your budget workshops on a date other than a council evening? Yes.
We have to, in terms of the first budget public hearing, because we normally do second and fourth Monday as per charter. And the one thing we are not allowed to do is conflict with the school board in their date selection or the county. But the county always meets on Tuesdays. School board meets on the same Monday. So we historically have had to modify our first public hearing date because of requirements based on the school board. But then we hold the second public hearing at the regular second meeting.
So, but you do have the opportunity or the option to, because I personally don't care for us mixing the meetings up with these particular things, but you could have both meetings, for instance, on the Thursdays, which wouldn't put you out of the times, it wouldn't conflict with anything, and you would also You'd also be in a position from an advertising point of view that you can do it between the second and fifth day prior to the second council meeting.
Just keep in mind, you'll be preempting your, possibly your library board, your Parks and Rec, or your planning and zoning, if you're doing it on Thursday nights. So it would be better to do it on, possibly Wednesday or some other time, but also keep in mind, there's two sets of things that we're talking about here. Not only do you have the public hearings, which is what you're talking about, but we're talking about the workshops. And in this particular case, you haven't really gotten to that agenda item yet, but normally you have two budget workshops this year due to Senate Bill 180, which was passed, but I assume it will get signed. You're going to be required to have a third workshop this year. So the recommendation would be to start the budget workshops 2 weeks early so that you can get all three into the same period. In other words, starting in late June and finishing,
So,
at the end of July.
but as a point of order, since there's more discussion to be had on this point, should we go ahead with our number 7 item and then come back to the calendar?
Yeah, let's do
Just
number,
briefly.
I was just tossing it out there. Could we just look at date selections later when we've got everybody present? That's all. And then we can go into the exact rules of
I think
engagement for
we'll
that.
move on with Woodard and Kern, and I still got some other questions on the other dates, even if we don't set them tonight. I have other considerations I'd like to bring up.
Okay. So we do have Scott Shannon here as well from Woodard and Curran. But before you tonight, based on previous council discussion, because it was not consideration and approval, there was a very clear consensus from the council to proceed with the SAFI grant money with the two components, roughly half and half going to each of the respective components, one being the septic to sewer conversion and the other being the acquisition, researching the potential acquisition of the wastewater plant. So those task orders are here before you today, and Scott will talk about them.
Yes, thank you, Sean. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of council and staff. Scott Shannon with Woodard and Curran. And so just as Sean pointed out, this is a follow-up to the presentation we gave at the February 23rd meeting to describe what the approach was using the grant proceeds from your SAFI grant. So just as a reminder, we completed a facilities plan which had some recommendations in for how to move forward with the project. The overall grant is 3 million and some change, so there's 3 million left. The direction that we received at the end of that meeting was basically twofold. One, look into what next steps were to potentially acquire the plant, which was the private facility, which was the recommended treatment facility from the plan. And then another task, which was to at least preliminary design the collection system for Old Howey. And just a reminder that some of that is necessary because it legitimizes the basis of the grant itself. So at this point, it's preliminary design and evaluation of an acquisition of the private facility. These are fully grant funded task orders, and that's what's there before you. So I'm certainly happy to answer any questions about those.
Yeah, I have a couple. In that meeting, it was February 23rd.
Yes.
We also discussed the investigation of the DWTS treatment systems. And I don't see this anywhere in the proposals here.
They're not written in the proposals because it's not a carry forward from what was in the facilities plan. So we're limited at least to investigating. We have the ability to kind of change that, and we can do that. There's budget. The way the task orders were written is to provide us the flexibility, particularly when it comes to the treatment options, to make sure we have the flexibility to kind of act and react as the negotiations and the evaluations of that treatment solution proceed. So
I'm going to have a hard time approving this if that's not in there.
I'm trying to remember what the direction was with respect to those.
Let me see if I think I have.
That was a point in particular that Councilor Everline brought up. But again, there was not a motion. There was a consensus.
Yeah, hold on.
From the
I
February
have
23rd meeting.
Okay. Council discussion included consideration of distributed wastewater treatment system as an alternative approach. Should use the grant funds rather than risk losing them, and supported moving forward with both the design and investigation of treatment capacity, acquisition. And then and then down at the bottom, it says, including evaluation of alternative approaches such as WTS.
Okay.
So I just want to make sure that's part of it. I mean, I understand that's not going to be a major, but it needs to be looked at.
We can certainly include that analysis.
Okay, I feel much more
No
comfortable.
problem. Yeah, yeah.
All right, thank you.
Yeah,
Now,
absolutely.
the other, just, maybe it's just me, I don't know, in the one for acquisition, you mentioned bringing on this team, I think it was Barfield or
Correct.
something. You mentioned in there, contested acquisitions. Everything that is in this is observable by other people, including those people that own the CDD. I just think we set ourselves up for maybe not the most favorable meetings when we do this kind of thing. That's just my opinion on that. I mean, it's too late to change that now. I'm personally not for any type of contested issue, but when it's put forth in front of them, I can guarantee you, I don't even know them or talk to them. I can guarantee you they're not happy about it.
Yeah. And I understand where you're coming from. That language actually came from the qualifications of the firm itself. So it was not meant in reference to this particular party that, who owns the plant right now. So it wasn't meant in any kind of way that we're setting ourselves up for contested. And quite frankly, that direction comes from you all, not from us.
Yeah, you know that, but I don't.
Your point is well taken, sir. Yes.
That's all I had. Thank you.
Okay, sure.
Any other questions from council? So we need a motion to approve both of these.
Yeah, I do have one. I'll ask for an alibi. Since we're looking at wastewater plant acquisition, my concern with going forward to try to obtain the CDD, either nice or not so nice ways, is it's buying a used car that I know has to be fixed before it'll do everything I wanted to do. Acquiring the wastewater plant, it doesn't help our town one bit. It would have to be expanded in order to be able to take on this task for the entire town. So we're saying the initial thought was 20 million. Well, for 8 million more, I get to hook up to Groveland, and it's probably going to be 100 years before we would have to worry about them not being able to handle us. And that gives us more flexibility, I think, than trying to get into the wastewater management business ourselves. Because that's going to be also a lot of cost in terms of the people we would have to go hire to run the thing, make sure it's working properly. And like I said, I look on it as an opportunity to where, when I lived here in Howey, we had an opportunity to buy the house we were living in Laurel. And the amount of money to buy the house and fix it the way we wanted to just happened to be about the same amount of money to buy a brand new house in Venezia. And it was like, well, gee, do you want to buy a house built in 1986, or would you rather buy one built in 2018? Guess what? The 2018 house won out. And that's why I'm thinking in terms of, I think we may have passed a little bit too fast on hooking up with Groveland because we were looking at that dollar amount. But, I think we'd be better off doing it that way.
John,
I think, I'm sorry, go ahead.
let me just ask a quick question, because my understanding or recollection of the contract that the town has with the CDD is that if we do not buy them, then all of the existing customers that are on that contract have to stay on that contract, and therefore you'd be paying 28 million and still you wouldn't have all those customers.
But you wouldn't be paying that amount forever. If I remember right, I think that exclusivity amount ran out in 2040. So it's not like forever, we would be tied up with that CDD.
I think we renewed it for 40 more years.
40 more
I
years?
don't think it's certainly not 15 years from now.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a long.
But still, I mean, it's a generational thing, but I don't know. I just think.
But I don't think also, you can correct me because I know that you deal with Groveland as well, but I understand that they're already having to expand their own system because they don't have the capacity for everything that they're doing in there. So how are they going to have the capacity to take on what we've got?
So in Groveland's case, they are planning, in fact, that they're about to secure the design of a new wastewater treatment plant.
But that's going to be like 100 million for them too.
It's a big number.
It's big.
But again, and there's a lot of uncertainty with that. As Councilor Arnold, as you point out, I mean, there's a lot of uncertainty in these numbers. These are planning level numbers that we're setting this direction on. If I could put that approach into context, based on the planning level things that we have done, this appears to be a more cost-effective option. Now, we also recognize the uncertainty that ultimately acquiring a facility like that ultimately comes down to what do a willing buyer and a willing seller agree on? So there's a lot of room to move that around. Part of the approach that what we're going to do now is to try to quantify those things, what you would be getting for whatever that cost is, to kind of set the basis for a negotiation, if you will. What happens though is if this becomes to the point that it's too expensive or it's too uncertain, and now it brings this other option in, you're not committing to a direction today. We're doing the more specific studies to better quantify what the difference is between those two options by exploring this option that looks like, based on our planning, the most cost effective way to get this done.
Okay. But to kind of piggyback on what the mayor had said as well, I mean, I think there was a major pivot in the Groveland versus local discussion when we acquired the 1,600 units, and that committed us to a future for all those units with the local option. But secondarily, you're not even so much buying the system. It's kind of like when you buy an old restaurant, you're not buying the restaurant, you're buying the customer base that's used to going to that restaurant. And in this case, we literally would be acquiring the customer base that otherwise would be locked away from us for decades.
And our analysis won't just look at what's there today. Like it will look at what might need to be done to meet your longer term needs, when that would be, what that might cost. All the things you just pointed out, there's operational costs associated with that too. That is something that would be the town's responsibility. So that's got to factor in to the equation as well. So we're going to quantify that.
And Sean, I'm glad you pointed that out, because I had not thought about and then we pick up that customer base, and that goes into another discussion we had earlier today. So okay.
Slightly sarcastic. We started off with 3,180,000, and you spent 180,000, and you brought us back some figures. And now we're talking about another $1 million. And where are you going to go after that to spend the remaining 2 million? Because we can't spend it ourselves. So what I'm saying is, are we just lining your pockets in order that you can bring us something that we may not ever be able to do anyway?
So the overall grant, as you point out, 3 million and some change. You have the term on the grant runs through another 2 years and some. We could have come back and proposed that entire amount right now, but we thought it was more prudent to take an intermediate step, get some direction from you guys about where you want to go from here, because there will be options to consider again. You guys can stop this at any point you want, but what we do, we secured this grant on your behalf, and while we're doing that, it's not in the task order, because we don't task order for the pursuit of grant monies for our clients. We just do that as part of what we do. So while we're doing this, we are looking for money that would enable you to construct whatever it is that you decide to construct based on the designs that are done. So that's It's not written into the task orders because we just don't charge for that, but that's what we do. And to that point, the supplemental appropriation that funded this grant, we did an application for you guys for a subsequent supplemental appropriation, and you were waitlisted for, I don't remember what the amount is, but it is an allocation for some amount of at a minimum very low interest loan. It might be zero. That's based on availability, but that's just like, that's a placeholder right now. It's a place to start, but we continue with every cycle for every potential grant source that funds this kind of thing to pursue that on your behalf.
Okay, so at this time, this is again an extension of the consensus from that second February meeting.
Let me open it up for public comment if anybody wishes to speak on this. If not, I'll close public comment, bring it back to council. So we effectively need a motion to approve giving Woodard and Curran $1 million, or the grant money is $1 million, so that they can go off and do these two these two items.
If I recall, then in the last meeting that we had pertaining to this, because we were concerned about losing the grant money because of so much of it being left over, I believe, town manager, correct me if I'm wrong, I had proposed 1.5 million, half and half. So do I understand that the 1.5 million is not needed, and we're talking about 1 million or 500?
So just to be clear, you had said roughly, not exactly,
Right.
roughly $1.5 million for project A, $1.5 million for project B, as a way to divvy up the available funding. So they are coming forward with a intermediary, I guess we could call it, intermediate step, for using up the respective $1.5 million in each pot, starting with $500,000 here and $500,000 there. So that still leaves $1 million.
$1 million
in each
and
of the two project sides, if you want to think of it that way.
Okay.
So this still follows your original proposal, just incrementally.
And the objective there, ma'am, would be to, once we do this, we're that much smarter about what needs to be done next.
That's what I do
rather than-
remember the
rather than guessing.
conversation,
Yeah.
right, was. So with that, and then I did hear you say that we have where we thought we would lose it, that there is an addition, is there 2 additional years
It is
added? So we're not kind of like hair on fire with this the way
yes, ma'am. The originally these grant agreements were set up where there was the requirement for an initial design submittal. That's what these are regarded as in May of this year.
Right.
Yours is set up a little differently. So you have basically until the end of the supplemental appropriation, which came from the federal government. All of that has to be used by mid 2028. So you guys are not required to submit design by the 26th. We had to get that clarification from DEP, which we have.
Okay.
So you have 2 years.
Okay, great. That was okay, so
How long is it going to take you to complete these two tasks?
The collection system design, I think, is scheduled for 6 months and for 12 months on the acquisition support. And that's really just, it could go faster, but that one's just a little bit more uncertainty as things develop.
Okay.
I make a motion, we approve both of these with the understanding that the one that includes the analysis of the current situation in the older section of Howey include an evaluation of the potential of the DWTS systems. And I also want to add to that the other analysis of the acquisition does not in any way look like we're evaluating a contested takeover.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
We should take a roll call vote. John?
Yeah, we could.
So,
Yes, because this motion would not allow.
So Counselor Everline, you're just looking to to not use that phrase from the verbiage of that firm?
Yes, and I don't really think that we should be looking at this point at a oh, what's the word? The type takeover,
Acquisition.
Taking. Eminent domain.
eminent domain, thank you.
I mean, I think that's there's going to be an evaluation of the value of the plant,
Right.
and there's going to be a legal analysis of the possible paths forward from that. I mean, I don't know, Scott,
You're right. I mean, the direction, how far we go comes from you guys, not from us. So we're not going to recommend that. We're not going to recommend eminent domain. We're going to give you the information to make those decisions for yourself. That doesn't come from us.
That'll come in a year's time.
Or sooner. Yeah.
And it'll be stated as such in there that it
It
would
will.
be our decision and you are not promoting one thing or the other.
Correct.
Okay, I'm all right with that. So John, however that has to be worded.
Gonna promote it.
would you like the town attorney to review the verbiage of the task order to clarify that particular point? Okay, so at the town attorney's discretion to reword that section. Okay.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Can we now have the roll call vote, please?
Counselor Linwood,
Yes.
Counselor Arnold,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Everline,
Yes.
Mayor Wells,
Yes.
motion passes.
Motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Thank
At this moment in time, can I get a motion to extend the meeting for 30 minutes, please?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Take us right till 9 o'clock. Let's come back to the selection of the dates. I think John is right that we need to do that at the time when
Everybody's present.
Councillor Miles is back with us. I covered the budget workshops.
Well, can I add an element in there? I mean, I know you mentioned the extra bonus meeting. Well, maybe talk about the parameters of that at all. The 10%. Okay.
You don't have to, there's no reason. We don't want to talk about.
Just wait.
Okay. Fair enough. And staff does suggest that possibly the third item, which is the date selection of the mid-year budget workshop, may not be necessary. I mean, we didn't, in looking at previous years, we didn't do it last year. We've kept pretty much on track for a handful of items where we feel we might need to modify things. They're going to be relatively few and far between, so we could just bring that forward as a standard budget amendment.
Didn't we do that at one of the budget workshops last year as opposed to a whole separate meeting? I thought you brought the amendment to one of the.
We would have had an amendment at a meeting,
Yeah.
exactly, and we've already done a couple of amendments this year.
We've done two so far this year where we've done them for the IT
Right.
guy. We did it as we went. There was one other you and I talked about today, which I can't remember what it was for.
But Councilor Everline's talking about last year, so it was just an amendment as opposed to a whole separate workshop.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I think we're robust enough in the budget to be able to just do that.
All right, then let's just look at the downtown wastewater workshop on that, just to kind of premise that. I know that we're going to talk about it at the time, but just thinking about it, I know that it's like $260,000 that we would have to find in order to do this, but can we as a town really, I think we just have to take those ERUs, because if we don't, they're going to go to someone else. We've got a lot of other things coming down the road, and it will give us the opportunity to control our own destiny in the town. The amount of money, and I just looked at it from the point of view that first off, we do not have the money, but if we were to borrow the money, because we did not, for instance, use the line of credit for Sarah Moore, that money could be repurposed to purchase these ERUs. It's only got 3.5 years left on the term, but they probably would extend that. And the interest rate is a little higher than probably you could get it at today's rate, but it's at 5.3. So the amount of interest that we would be paying on that loan in the short term is relatively low. And bearing in mind that we take in about $104,000 of monies from the wastewater that we're being charged in Venezia and also in Talashe on the $28 a month that we're coming in. So there is money coming in order to be able to fund that. And then obviously we can, knowing that it's in our destiny, we can then talk about the other aspects of it, whether we do mandatory hookup and all those kind of things. But unless we actually commit ourselves to purchasing those ERUs, we really can't do much else. And it's only on that I just wanted to enter that into your head so that when we get to the budget workshop, to the workshop on this, bearing in mind, of course, that if we decide to move ahead, the workshop's not going to give us the power to do that unless we transfer that into a voting opportunity. But I just think it's just something that we have to do, because once they're gone, they are gone.
Great.
So anyway, that was
With just a question, Mayor, with the developments that have not happened yet, did they actually purchase the ERUs, or are they just paying on the promise that they will? I can't remember how that went.
So we're talking about which developments?
Well, let's say Mission Rise or I don't know who else
well,
got guaranteed. Did they pay for the whole ERU, or did they just pay money so much a month to hold it?
Both. So they've
both
pretty much all paid what they call the SEAC fees,
Yeah.
contribution
in
aid
place of aid of
construction.
construction, yeah.
So they paid that, the initial $5,250. And once they've done that, they
So
are
they did,
invoiced.
so they did pay the 5,250.
Right, and then they also have to pay the $6 per
Okay.
unit RAM fee every
So
month.
they can't just pay the $6 RAM. fee.
No, but also Whispering Heights currently have not done that
Right,
because
they don't have any.
They don't have any.
Right.
Now, out of the 47, we could certainly, some of those are going to go. But I don't think necessarily that we want to sell them to them. But the short and long of it is, if we don't buy them, we don't have that choice. They'll go to them by default and they'll snap them up as quick as anything. So that's my only feeling with regards to that for when we actually come to discuss it. From my point of view, it's not so much whether we do it, it's more about the logistics of how we manage it, and then going forward, what we're going to do with them when we get them.
And just as a point of clarification, I don't think it changes anything, but just so people are informed, with Mission Rise in particular, they were going to get their ERUs from the commercial portion of Hillside Grove, which is also this project of the same group. They have not processed that paperwork with the CDD. So that's two third parties that have to work together. They also have to, wait, did they do that last week?
I think that's fine.
Okay, so they're working on it. They also have to secure that remaining 80 units that they're short from the CDD as well, but those are two third parties working together, but it's still not tied up with a bow at this moment.
Just question, does Drake Point, they already
paid for their SEAC fees and they're paying their RAM fees.
Okay. All right. Any other thoughts, questions, or otherwise? Sorry?
We have a public member that wants to comment.
Online?
Yes.
Okay.
Good evening, Tina St. Clair, 143 Central Avenue. As we speak about the ERUs, and obviously we've discussed, I think at the last council meeting in regards to the commercial district and the alley on either side being the first that would need to tie in. How far in advance will we know what our costs are looking at like? And how will those costs be determined? Because I believe if I remember correctly, we discussed there's going to be a cost to the town and then the residents or the commercial building owners will also have their costs on their side for the actual hookups going from the buildings to the town's hookup. Is that correct?
Okay. So just to clarify, so there would be the cost for the capacity, which currently from the CDD is $5,250 per equivalent residential unit, ERU. There would also be necessary work to be done for the, it's not condemnation, the shutting down of the old septic tank and the tapping in to the sewer line. So those are costs that we don't have a price on. It's not something that would necessarily be done by the town. It would be done by a third party. We may manage it through the town if that makes sense as we discuss this plan to possibly save some money with economy of scale. But those are the basic costs is the SEAC fee that goes to the CDD for the capacity, and then we'll call it the plumbing work that would need to be done on site to shut down the septic tank and can tap into the actual sewer main.
And they're also, because the town, obviously, in order to get those ERUs, there is a cost of interest to the town, which would likely be passed on to the end user as well.
So how far in advance do you feel like you're going to be able to give the residents and building owners notice
Well, I
in
think
regards? Because I think at one time it was discussed that it would be, they'd possibly put it on the bill and it could be paid over time. And then if I remember correctly, that was the last administration. And most recently, they've said, no, the town can't afford to do that type of payment plan.
Well, and I think to that point, I think what the mayor was saying was if the town purchases the capacity, then the town's in a position to manage the financing of that capacity as well. It's not settled, but that's a point.
no, it is a potential, Tina. The only thing is that we have only got 3.5 years left. If we were to choose to use the if we were to choose to use the line of credit that we currently have, which we're not using for Sarah Maud, because it's very difficult. We have had a conversation with United Southern Bank, who have got this one in place. And of course, it's very difficult to go and ask them for a separate one when you haven't used the first one that you've got. A lot of these things, and they're good questions, I think will get discussed when we have the workshop on this particular item. And I think if you've got specific questions, Tina, then I would be inclined to put those into writing and send them to the town manager so that they can be
Okay.
incorporated into the agenda meeting.
Okay, because of course we've got our apartment building, but my daughter also owns the house right next to the Howey Market, so she'll be affected as well. And I know that
I
that's a
understand.
concern for everyone that will be looked to connect first.
I
Thank
understand.
you.
Thank you, Tina.
Okay, well, that covers 3 of them. The other one is the date selection for the strategic planning workshop. John, that was left with you. Where are we at with that?
Take the inputs I've got and I'm gonna put them in the Gemini AI and have it crank it out for us.
In here.
I want to go ahead and take the inputs that I've got, put it into Gemini AI, tell it to give me a short 10-page instead of a 30-page document, appropriate photographs, et cetera, that it can get, and let's see how close we can get to being a strategic plan. That is a document that can guide the town going forward as to where it wants to go. Naturally, once that is done, that has to go out for a lot of people get to chop on that thing because we need buy-in by lots of folks. So it doesn't matter who's on the council, who the town manager is, et cetera, so that the town is moving in the direction that the residents feel it should be moving in.
So the information that you're looking to put into Gemini, where are you drawing that from? Are you writing this yourself? Are you plagiarizing out of other cities?
I am plagiarizing like crazy out of Mount Dora because they were nice enough to give me a copy of their strategic plan in Microsoft Word format. Then I've got input from Sean on the what was that document again that we just went over this earlier.
Not the CIP, the
strategic purchasing, or now you're going to make me look it up.
Mine blanked. But we also have the document that the mayor had worked on. That was,
And then we've got that
changes,
as well.
content.
And then we'll see.
That'll probably need to be updated as well now.
And then we'll see what it can go out and find and find online as far as that goes. I think for a good strategic plan, it needs to be vague on numbers as far as costs go. The idea is can we set up what I would call enduring imperatives? For example, the Air Force enduring imperative is to make sure that the Army never acquires large fixed wing aircraft. So how do we do that? We do that by focusing on constantly upgrading our air fleet and the types of capabilities we want, but we don't talk about the exact airplane, the exact airplane itself. We talk about what we want to be able to do as an Air Force. We want to be able to, do we want to be able to blow people up? Do we want to be able to deliver humanitarian supplies? Things like that. And then we let, as the service feels it gets the money or the direction from the commander chief to be able to acquire the airframes that it needs to be able to go do those missions.
But our needs both in terms of size and scale, and also Mount Dora is a very mature city in terms of the infrastructure that they've got in there. And obviously you and I and Tim went to Montverde, and I think both of you were pretty impressed with the setup that they have got there in terms of having a municipal complex, including library and other amenities. Are you planning to bring that into the strategic plan as well?
We can certainly put items like that. For example, development of the lakefront. Because I think that's something that we've talked about with other folks. What are we going to look for in terms of a municipal complex? Do we want it to be one big, huge monolithic building, or do we want to use something like Montverde where you use some smaller, different buildings so that you can build your municipal center incrementally?
Well, they of course started off with the town hall and the chambers, and of course they did have, of course, the fire station that was there, but their old town hall that we looked at was really old, a bit like this place, and they got a grant in order to do that first, and then they have added on to that, and then of course the library section of it, I think, is just astounding that what they have done. And it isn't just the buildings, of course, the tennis courts, the basketball, the pickleball. I took my twins down. I was so impressed with that butterfly garden. I took my twins there last Sunday, and I tell you, it's really really impressive. Now, from a standalone, I don't know how much that would cost, but I would love to see that somewhere in the future. The town is probably not going to come to fruition while.
But I think
us three are on council.
Again, a good strategic plan for us is not going to be grounded so much in cost as it is think in terms of the capability or the direction we want the town to go in. For example, do we really want to For example, do we want to try to retain our small town charm, and how would we do that so that we don't lose sight of that, say, 10 years from now?
Well, okay, then let me ask you another question then, because obviously this, I don't know how long ago I wrote the first 8 pages of this, but this has been kicking around for a long time. I mean, if we're looking at dates, I mean, realistically, just for you to have something that is presentable to council, I mean, is that something that you're going to be able to pull out in the next 2, 3 months?
Yeah. Yeah. I was thinking more like give me till the beginning of June.
Okay. All right. Well, it gives us
Either
something.
that, you can fire me and hire a different planner.
Well, at the end of the day, it's not necessarily that. It's just the fact that the real difficulty with any document is when you start off with a blank sheet of paper. You all got the state of the town that came out in the water bill. I don't know whether you've read it or you haven't read it yet. But at the end of the day, you start off with a blank sheet of paper. Well, that's 2 pages, and it was not that difficult to write. But when you're talking about a strategic plan, there's a ton of stuff that's got to go into that. And all I was looking for was something to give us something to look at that we can build upon.
Well, I think now that I've become more familiar with using the AI, which when you use it properly can be, as we would say, a force multiplier. And I think having one ready where we can begin to chop on it in 30 days is reasonable.
Okay. All right. Anybody got any other thoughts?
I do. I'd like to also, John, while you're also using Gemini, you can incorporate Gemini into Perplexity. Perplexity is a AI generated system that combines Gemini, Claude, ChatGPT, and you get a whole host of other information. It kind of brings them all together. So that's
You're gonna make me learn another AI system, huh?
it's
Okay.
excellent.
I think the other thing is you got to bear in mind that I mean, this is our town. I don't know how this AI generating thing works in terms of this, but I mean, it's our town. It's what we want in order to go forward. Now, I can tell you this, when you've written the strategic plan, if you put it through ChatGPT, it will polish it. When we wrote the letter that went out, I wrote it completely. I then went through it with Sean, who wanted some changes made to it, and we did that, and we polished it with ChatGPT. It didn't take away anything that we had decided. It just worded it better. It just improved
What
it.
he's doing is that he wants to compile information coming from various sources. Whenever you want to create information and you want it from various sources, when you prompt it, that's the whole purpose of AI research you must prompt it. So when he's prompting, he's putting in the different information that he's looking to pull the
Yeah,
information
like I'm gonna
from.
write it and ask it to polish it. In this case, I'm saying go here, go there,
He's
pull
researching.
information out, put it together in a document hopefully I can easily understand.
ChatGPT is more for an individual who's doing creative writing or coding.
Correct.
And I'm just going to leave it at that. You just have different models.
I appreciate that.
I wanted to, since we're speaking about dates, I will not be here for the next meeting for May 11th. That will be the Monday after Mother's Day. I'll be out of the country. So I won't be calling in either.
Yeah, that's your
I do. All right. Any other thoughts on the 4 meetings?
Just real quick, because you guys said you didn't want to do date selection today because Counselor Miles wasn't here.
Yeah, he's not here.
You don't want to do date selection until the second meeting in May?
That, because I won't be
I
here.
should do it via email. That's all right.
Oh, you can do that. That's a good idea. That's a good idea.
You know, John, you need to get this stuff done, do it by.
Yeah,
I agree.
or at least if Council Linneman said all the dates she couldn't do, then we could at least, I mean, yes.
Everything except Wednesdays.
I can call you when I see that.
Any date from me now, any date on, any day that is a Wednesday, anytime after like 1:30 or 2 o'clock, I'm pretty okay. The last meeting is usually from 1 to 2. So anything after that on a Wednesday I can do.
Thank you.
I can send an email with some available dates since Pro Tem Everline. I think that's a good idea.
Okay, sounds good. All right, let's move on to department reports. Do you have anything?
Yes, sir. So we already talked about the state of the town. We already talked about the lakeshore cleanup. Thank you for everyone who participated in that. The mayor will be reading the proclamation read at a previous council meeting at the upcoming National Day of Prayer, which is Thursday, May 7th at noon in Griffin Park. Town's Founders Day is Saturday, May 9th from 10 to 2 at Griffin Park. And my last thing, I had a meeting today with the county manager, Jennifer Barker, talking about some issues that we're running into with the Cedar Creek development. So the town had done an annexation and utility agreement with Cedar Creek. County was pushing back on them, asking them to come back to the town and ask the town to waive its annexation and utility agreement. If in exchange for a little more density from the county. The county implied that there was not right of way necessarily to bring the water pipe down number 2 road to Cedar Creek. So again, I talked to the county manager. We had a very good discussion. One thing that came up in that conversation, which was a little earth breaking, was the fact that Mr. John Blodgett, who has been one of the main proponents of Keep Rural number 2 road, he had just a few days ago submitted a proposal for development on his owned land that would be immediately between Cedar Creek and the town, immediately adjacent to Cedar Creek on the eastern side. And he wanted to build a commercial mini resort complex out there. So even though he has been one to restrict traffic, restrict development, restrict utilities, restrict the town, restrict the county, etc.
Make it make sense.
Well, it's not okay when other people do it, but when someone wants to do it on their own property, you know, they see things differently, and I respect that. And frankly, I've seen his proposals. They've come from the county. It looks like a very nice little mini resort with 7 cabins and
Would it be more like a
primary.
bed and breakfast kind of a thing?
Well, it'd be 7 separate cabins with a main center where you would come and have a chef, like a whole cooking area. And I mean, it's quite the,
Sounds like an
quite the-
inclusive resort.
it's very nice. And frankly, I can see,
Campground.
yeah, well, it's fancy. I mean, the cabins look, it's high level. So honestly, from my perspective, speaking personally, it's the kind of thing I think would serve the number 2 road area well. I think it would fit in with the rural development. And I look forward to the town being able to serve it water, potentially wastewater, as we possibly annex it on the way to serving Cedar Creek with their utilities and annexing Cedar Creek as well. So I will be writing a letter tomorrow to the Board of County Commissioners stating that the town does not want to give up its annexation rights or its utility provision rights per the ISBA to Cedar Creek. And I will also reference Mr. Blodgett's plan to do what he doesn't want anyone else to do immediately adjacent to this particular property and show that obviously there must be right of way to bring him utilities, and therefore we can serve Cedar Creek with those same utilities. So I will also be attending the subsequent, not tomorrow, Tuesday, but 1 week from tomorrow, the BCC meeting where they will be discussing Cedar Creek, and my letter will be brought up at that time. So I will share that letter with you after I write it. But we're just keeping an eye on what the county's doing and how that affects what we are trying to do as well.
Which is one of the reasons why we don't want a communal JPA with the county. Just so you know, also, number 2 road has been yellow lined from one to the other. I found that the other day. I was just interested to know why they only white lined it on the bends. Where I've driven today, it seemed to be white lines everywhere, so I'm not sure about that.
And they have not yet installed the slightly lower speed limit sign, so that is yet to be done.
And there is also some
limit on that safely.
you've also they haven't put the reflective markers in there that they talked about as well. But you know, it at least it's making progress. Tim, do you have any?
Actually, I have something to add before we get on to the council reports. Just so you guys know, this afternoon, we just got a late notice from Florida Department of Environmental Protection, and we're getting our first reimbursement on the water treatment plant for roughly a little over $1 million. Got approved, so we will be getting that check very shortly.
Right.
Tim, you have anything?
I just want to add on to what Josh and John said about the lake cleanup. I wanted to thank everybody who was there and thank Morgan for arranging it. Andy and I would have been there, but we were out of town. The lake is really looking nice. The guy who's spraying, I noticed he was out there today. I thought it was a little windy, but he was out there today. But the lake's really looking nice. The weeds are under control. The places in the sidewalk that you've added and the lines at Central, it's really starting to look much better. So thank you for that. And I missed the MPO meeting last week. So if were you there?
The shortest meeting in history. 14 minutes.
Oh, wow.
No electricity. That's the key to keeping our meeting short. No electricity. You can't have the meeting last long.
So that's all I had. Thank you.
Can I just add one more thing real quick?
Sure.
Because I think I got kind of cut off, but I just wanted to recognize the public services team. That's been a hard road for them as far as getting the grant money back. It's not been an easy thing, so I want to compliment Morgan and Brianna for finally getting that pushed over the line to get our first reimbursement. Having done one of those before, I can tell you that it's not easy, and I think they did a really good job getting us started on this path.
And to piggyback on that, so there's continuous applying for grants, specifically from the Public Works Department, because there are so many projects, and we have a kick-off meeting happening this week for flood mitigation on South Dixie, where we receive funding to fix our one primary area of flooding concern in town. So funding has been secured. We've been working with the property owner to acquire some land and fix things that'll help at least half a dozen homes directly, but it helps the whole town when certain areas of town don't flood. Oh, I think Mr. Case wants to.
Where is that on Dixie?
I just want to make a correction on that, Sean. We received grant funding for the design of it. We have not, I had submitted for the entire project and they wanted to break it down into 2 parts, the design phase and the construction phase. Don Griffey's working on the design on that, and he had to do a environmental analysis of the area and the water flow charts and stuff like that. So he should be done with that pretty soon. Once that's done, we can submit for the reimbursement to even pay Don back for the design, and then we can move on to phase 2.
And land acquisition is phase 1 or 2.
What's that?
Land acquisition.
Phase 2.
Phase 2.
During construction.
Where is that?
It's on South Dixie, just past, I think that's Myrtle, where it crosses South Dixie. It's down in that bottom. It's the house that sits down in the bottom. Every time we get a storm, we have to take them a lot of sandbags. They go over to Hickory Point, get
So
sandbags.
it's down It's
It's on the south,
southern.
it's on the south end, South Dixie.
It also affects of South Florida a little bit less.
Yes, because, well, South Florida, all that drains from South Florida all the way down across the back of their properties into this little localized flood zone. Uh, and it's been an ongoing process for about 2 years because it was during the hurricane for hazard mitigation that I submitted this for the grant, and they accepted it in two phases. Phase one being the design portion of it, and phase two being the construction. And I keep in contact with the property owners all the time. And part of that is land acquisition, which we went talking to the property owner who lives on South Florida but has an L-shaped lot. And because that part of his lot is a lot lower, he could never build anything in there. So we're talking to him about the town buying a portion of that property to put a stormwater pond and everything to direct the water to that pond. So.
Okay. Thank you. Got it, Tim?
Yep.
Councillor Arnold?
So we've already done the MPO item. My point today with the charter thing was not aimed at David. It just was unfortunate he was the first one kind of up on vacation today. But one of the things that's bothered me a little bit is we seem to be beginning to deviate a little bit from the charter because we're beginning to find out how things work better for our town. And so I'm thinking maybe, and there's some parts in the charter where, there's rules in there how the supervisor of election does his job. Well, what if he changes his rules? Then does that mean we have to change the charter? Well, yes, it would, et cetera. Well, my point is, if you're gonna have rules in place, either follow the regulation or throw it away. One of the two. I think we're at the point where, like locking in our meetings for the second and fourth Monday of each month, maybe there's a better way for us to streamline and put in our current lessons learned on the town charter. We won't get it done this year. There's no way we could hope to meet a November deadline. But perhaps once we get done with all of our work we need to do this year, early next year, we begin to look at putting together a committee to review and begin to make proposed changes, because that's going to take a while. We want to make sure we get it done right. And by the time the next election rolls around 2028, we'll have almost had this thing for a decade. So there's lessons learned I think we can put in there. I'm sure our folks in the town can help us out a little bit. But I think we're getting to the point where we keep waiving the rules or modifying the rules. Sooner or later, we could wind up unintentionally getting ourselves into trouble. So that was my whole thing with doing the rules thing today. It wasn't that I don't like David. It's actually the opposite. But unfortunately, he happened to be the one who wasn't here. There you are.
I don't think we deviate terribly from the charter on things. I mean, if there are things in there, now you got to bear in mind one thing: when that charter was written, there were certain things in there, if you remember back to the McGill days, that were put in there in order to prevent what happened, him suing the town. The whole situation with, for instance, you got to be on council for a year before you can be mayor, unless you have a supermajority vote. That was written at the time when Martha was a strong mayor. So in other words, if you have somebody come on and, like McGill, who thought he was actually running for the mayor's seat, and then that person becomes the mayor. That was the reason that was written there, to prevent somebody just coming in and doing that, because that mayor then was the city manager as well. We don't have that scenario now. And obviously the mayor's position is equal amongst all five of us, and therefore maybe that provision is outdated now, and maybe there are some things that could change.
I think that's what he's saying.
Yeah.
Take a look at it.
He's just saying it better.
And Counselor Arnold and I chatted about this a little bit, and talked about some of these points. So it's not any particular proposal to change any of the existing mechanics or structure. It's looking at things and cleaning it up so that it matches the reality that we would like to work under. And if something doesn't have to be specified in the charter, and it could be specified somewhere else. So you could say, for example, council shall meet twice a month, and then by ordinance, you can say, let's make it the second and fourth Monday, so that if some
I have a
council
feeling.
wants to change it, I mean, what
I
if the
think
next
it has
council
it in
said,
there anyway.
Don't work for them.
I think it already has that in the charter.
it says, no, it
No,
says the council shall meet regularly on the second and fourth Monday of each month. Now, it says by ordinance, the council may change from time to
Well,
time.
there you
dates of the
go.
Month when regular.
See,
meetings are
so
held.
it was written in there.
Then why say in there second and fourth Mondays instead of just say it? And again, it doesn't even change anything in practice now. It's just if it doesn't have to be said in the charter and it could be managed by ordinance.
You know, talking with some of our counterparts from the other towns at the luncheon, the advice they gave me was don't put anything in your charter that you don't want to have to do. And our attorney even pointed out to me, I didn't know she had also been looking at it. If you read the charter, the thing about voting is we kind of leave ourselves open to someone could challenge a vote as a result of that, saying, well, you know, the person who voted no wasn't present, so therefore
No, I get that.
measure really
I think that is something that we deviated from, and we shouldn't have deviated from that. I agree there. You have to bear in mind also that when that charter was written, not only did it go through council, but it went through Tom Wilkes as well. And there was a lot of things in there that were, like I say, were put in there to safeguard the town.
And that's about 7 years ago, and things have changed and new laws have been implemented.
That is true.
That's not any skin off anyone's back here, but here's one that would be more appropriate as part of a procurement ordinance or a contract. And it talks about the requirement for a town auditor, and it says how long you can do the contract, and you can do an extension of the contract for a period not exceeding 3 years. Well, that could be, again, that could be done by ordinance, that could be done within the procurement policy, that could be done within the contract with the auditor.
Doesn't need to be in the
Doesn't
charter.
need to be in the charter, so why?
Well, you can change the charter. You can put it through referendum, and you can do that this year because it only requires an ordinance from the town in order to approve whatever goes on to the ballot. So if you want to do it this year, you can do it.
To do it right. I don't think we need to do it in a hurry. There are other
November's
folks.
a long way away.
Well, that's fine.
I mean, and maybe
Takes 5 years to build an aircraft carrier. That's not why you know, if you were to wait till you can build it quickly, guess what? That'll never happen. I think we do it in a deliberate, methodical manner. And we may have a big game changer with property tax laws this fall. That we may want to say, okay, how can we address this? Does that mean changing the charter? My point is, I think there's improvements to be made. We don't have to make them in a hurry. Let's approach them in a methodical manner, as opposed to trying to cram everything in really fast. That's all. Done.
Councillor Lanneman?
I don't have anything this evening.
And neither do I.
Tom Wilkes, by the way, did think it was a good charter, so.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, he thought it was one of the best ones he'd ever
He
seen.
told me that. He thought it was one of the best ones.
He liked the drafter a lot too.
Well, in fairness, we had a really good team that actually worked on that, and we reviewed. I can tell you this: we reviewed all 14 charters in Lake County. Everything was done on the basis of whatever they had that was good. What they didn't have, we did not put on there. So, and Tom polished it up pretty well as well. So, I can't think there's a huge amount of stuff that needs to be changed. And of course, you got to bear in mind that that charter is not from 2019. That charter was redone.
2020.
It was done in 2022, maybe when we changed from a strong mayor to
Right.
a
That's why I don't think
council.
we need to, it's not something we need to really rush, but I think there's some things we've seen where it could improve our operational capability.
Okay.
I make a motion, we adjourn the meeting.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned 9:16. Thank you.
Sister. It was work. I couldn't believe it. We had 10 suitcases, 2 fur babies, and 2 carry-ons. They all went. She took her baby with her.
I love it.
But
They
it
get to go
was
on the
good.
plane?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's.
they're Yorkies. They're little
Oh,
guys.
of course. They
Yeah.
sat on your laps.
Yeah, basically.
That's great.
It was good. And Copa Airlines was really